Hello, everybody. All right. Thanks for joining us. No, we're a little bit late. I got off work late. Girl. Whoo, child. Listen.
Oh my goodness. Can we stop adulting?
For
I'm
real, for
really
just like a
into the
day.
Neverland idea.
The Neverland. Look, sounded more and more tempting as the years go by.
I mean, I'm not lying. If a serial abductor named Peter Pan showed up, I'd be like, okay, when's my turn?
For
I believe
real.
in fairies. I believe in fairies. Let's go.
I mean, I'm just like, whoo, child. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, no, I'm done with adulting. I'm so done with adulting.
Mm-mm. All right, we're going to, what we need are some wonderful volunteers to let us know what our levels are like. I always have issues. Let me know if Ria's not loud enough. If I'm too loud, I'm going to be talking at this level. Okay. So if I am too loud, please let me know. I'm luckily
Too
not
loud. What is
tired
this
today. I'm
too
a little
loud
drained, but I'm not tired. So I tend to get mumbly when I'm tired. And so I'm just making
No,
sure
that's
that I'm
fair. That's
actually,
fair.
yeah, speaking at a level in which people can hear me. Uh, Whoo! Okay. And also, let me do a little more adjusting on this. Getting everything set.
Yes, giving people time to filter in.
Yes, that you already post. You can steal off of my Twitter
Yeah, no,
post,
I got you.
my Twitty twit.
You know I don't touch Twitter.
Now I know.
That place
I
gives me
still
hives.
look. I still don't call that place X. I'm like, look.
What is this X nonsense you speak of?
Mm,
This is one of the
right.
only times it is appropriate to dead name something,
Yeah.
okay? Only appropriate time.
For real. Lord. Messed my whole camera up. Kicked my camera. Oh no.
No.
It's like, no.
Yeah, no, I do not mess with that nonsense. I have abandoned
There we
ship
go.
and
Perfect.
I can't recall the last
Got
time
the
I looked back.
got the boobies looking good. Everything's looking right. There you go. Big titty
Gotta jump
committee
scare
here,
some
you know.
people.
All right, we just
Idea,
messing
thank
around right
you.
now where we're getting everything set up. I'm going to be monitoring what people are saying on my phone. So if you have any
Yes.
comments, please feel free. I'd love to hear from you all. Let me see who's joined us so far. Again, please let us know. I mean, throughout, really, because I'll be monitoring throughout. If she's not loud enough, if I'm too loud, we want to kind of be even tone because even I mean, that's what we're doing this a couple of minutes ahead of time. Because as long as we are even toned, you know what I mean? Like we're on the same frequency, I can always put the volume up or down in an edit. But what I can't do is if I'm way louder than her, she's way lower. It's very hard to even that out after the fact. So I really need some feedback on this, okay?
Oh, hi, Silbini. Hi.
Hello.
But yeah, we're doing all the things.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I just love, can I just say, I just love our little cloudy circle of people, it just feels so, I love like,
how
I mean, it
open
feels a
and
little. It
friendly we
almost
are.
feels like, especially with us, you, me, Monk, and others. Like, feels like a little bit of a girls' club at the same time. I almost feel like I'm
A
part of
little
a
bit.
sorority.
It
You know,
really does.
I know it sounds so stupid. I don't
So
even care about
no, no,
sororities,
no. Here's the
but
thing. I often compare our chats and what have you to, the feeling that you get when you're in the girls' bathroom, where all the girls are hyping you up and helping you put your
yeah.
makeup on. They always
So
are hype
we
women,
always like, girl, do I look all right? Oh yeah, girl, are you looking good? I like the color. Okay,
right?
she was asking me
So
different
here's the
eyeshadow
girls'
color. I'm like,
bathroom.
but
I
I
mean,
just,
like,
mm-hmm. Go
I mean,
ahead.
when they come to my streams, even and I've only been playing Okami because I haven't been able to resume Final Fantasy Fridays. Still, the same vibe, same hype women. Like, it's great. I mean, granted, I did pick on Charles a couple times the other day. It was all in good fun. It was all in good fun.
Oh, and
It was okay.
in general, I just love the diversity of Claudia's. I mean, I've met people from so many different walks of life. It's just amazing. I mean, practically. Okay, I'm not gonna say every country in the world. Let's not go crazy, but I met a lot of people. It's just a great thing. But I'm just talking about like as streamers as well. So it's nice to see so many women of color, and yeah, I'm just I'm excited about this. And then but we also got, of course, I mean, we just have a great cast of streamers in general, including Looney, who's one of my favorites. I mean, love that guy to death. Y'all got to go check him out. I don't know that Dasher Dave wants to be labeled a Cloudy, but let me put it this way: he'll tell the story like it actually is. He ain't
He's
gonna
an honorary member.
Yeah, he ain't gonna
Honorary
bullshit
member.
around, you know. And I don't agree with everything he says, but he will keep it real with you, okay? And he not
Exactly.
gonna
He's
dance
still
around the
enslaved.
is Cloud supposed to be, you know. He just tells it like it is. I love it. So yeah, a La Rep, love that girl, sweet as pie, but also, you know, got a catty side to her just like us. I'm sweet
Right,
until you
David?
cross me.
Speak of the devil. And then
Oh,
you shall
hey! All right.
You've
Well,
been
Dave,
typically invited.
yes, I summoned him. This like meteor. He came
Right?
crashing in.
Well, actually, I say whoops like it's a bad thing.
I know,
That's
and like
how
whoop.
it is right now. Give me the meteor.
Oh yeah, maybe I should call him meteor. Yeah, that was probably not a good. Let me say like oh, he loves Anima, you know, so like Anima coming in to save us, you know. Yeah, so David, you would know especially. We need to make sure that our levels are good. So am I too loud? Not loud enough? Is she too low? Yeah. Really need some feedback before we get started. And let me just explain, because there'll be an official start to the stream in a couple of minutes here. What we're gonna do is this. So now I know the general tone of my my streams. I like to cut up and all that. And look, I'm still gonna do a little bit of that because I'm me. I like to rag on people who claim to be, you know, fans of the game and don't really aren't. But there's gonna be a little bit of different tone, only because you know, a lot of people do not know what's in this book. And I actually, though I did go over it again, I'm still coming at it a little bit fresh because I want, you know, I kind of want to keep it, almost have kind of a little bit more of a fresh reaction for you all, rather than like I've been studying it for the last week and I, you know, every word in it, you know, I've reminded myself of what goes on. But yeah, so I want to have a little bit more fresh reaction to it. So I'm excited. It's been a couple of days, and I'm excited to read through it with you, Rhea. Rhea's going to start us off. And yeah, this is going to be like really an analysis, you know, caveats. You know, we're telling the story of Final Fantasy VII as it is. Yeah. We're not coddling anybody. Okay.
No, we are not coddling. However, do have mercy on our souls, because goodness knows I will trip over my own tongue.
Oh, yes,
So-
absolutely. Oh, yeah. I'm
Have
terrible
mercy
at
on
public
me.
reading. So but yeah, we'll have fun. But a lot of people do not know the content of this story. So I'm really excited to get that out, because Cloud is still my favorite character. I mean, I love Tifa to death. I like Zack, I like Aerith. You know, I like a lot of the characters in this game. But Barrett, love him. By the way, happy Father's Day to him. Happy Father's Day to Cloud.
Yep, it's right around the corner. Oh, I'm not
Brian, happy Father's Day to you as well, sir.
ready. He's probably rolling in his grave right now.
Like, oh God, I know what he's about to do to my daughter in part 3.
Right?
But yeah, this is gonna be an analysis type deal. So once we get started, what we're gonna do, she's gonna start us off, and we're gonna read 2 pages at a time. We're actually not gonna read the whole thing. We're gonna read most of it actually, but we're gonna get to page 8, which is where I think is a good stopping point. And then in part 2 of this, we're going to go to, Hey Little Dreamer. We're going to do the final 3 pages and then do like a full summary, if that makes sense. So you'll get a lot more, more of a detailed summary. Here, we really just want you all to listen to the story. We'll stop, like I said, every 2 pages we'll stop, including the end. So there'll be 4 stops where we will discuss what we've gone through, okay? All right, so David says we're good. I'll just keep monitoring, like I said. Let me just give my shout outs real quick to everybody. And please, not necessary, but I am able to take super chats now, so it would be greatly appreciated. I always am going to give a portion of what I, you know, get to my co-host as well. So eventually, when I start actually making some cash out of this,
It is a goal. It is a goal.
yes, because truth be told, I really just do this for the love of Final Fantasy. I'm not saying I got nothing wrong with people doing this as a living or whatever. I'm just saying I really just love Final Fantasy.
Yes.
But it would
Oh
be
my
nice
gosh,
to actually make a
goodness,
little,
when we were-
like now I'm actually thinking, well, I might as well make a little money out of this while, you know what I'm saying?
Right? I mean,
I
you're
think it's
putting the
fine.
work in.
Yeah, exactly. And then
also,
I'll be able to
we
get
gotta go
better
back to
equipment.
Japan, so-
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God. And I would love for us to stream going to Japan the next time. We actually are,
no.
I mean, it's a little spoiler alert. We're actually trying to go to Japan around the time that part 3 comes out. So we'll like, hopefully like they'll have all the, trappings of, all the billboards and ads and all that. We'll get to see all the new merch. Oh my God. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh,
So yeah.
Oh my gosh, first trip, I don't know. I have seen him. We found pretty much every Square Enix shop.
Every single one. Oh
An
my
obscene
God.
amount of
And there's a
money.
new one that we have not been to, Square Enix Garden. So we're definitely gonna have to go to that. And if they the Sky Tree, if they redo that top floor or whatever as Final Fantasy Part 3, oh my God. Listen, I will get over my insane fear of heights. And the real will tell you, this ain't a joke. I have deathly fear of heights. I will get over it. Okay.
Yeah, don't worry. I remember. I will hold your hand. I will carry you if I have
I don't
to.
even think I made it to the top of the Sky Tree. I think I made it to like the
No,
second,
you
second to the
didn't.
top,
You
and I was
didn't.
like, I gotta go down
So,
right now.
No, it was when we were doing the Jujutsu Kaisen event.
Mm-hmm.
You left, you dipped, and it was okay. You made it.
I was like, girl,
girl,
you know where to find me. I'll be downstairs in the anime and the game thing because I bought way too much out of there. But anyway,
no, I did get to enjoy visiting my husband, and my husband.
yes, she has several husbands out of this story.
Yes, I do. I have my
and I
own
just started
hero.
watching it. So, girl, we need to start doing some like reviews on episodes and stuff. I know we had these ideas in the past. We just need to start doing it. Like, what are we waiting for? We're young, you know. So
Right?
we can...
Honestly, I need to get you into Apothecary Diaries because I will infect everyone with my hyper fixation.
Yes.
I will infect everybody.
Yes. All right. We're going to get started. One thing I will do, I'm going to give a quick preview of cloudxtifa.com for people who have not seen it yet. Our beta is live, but I just want to say hi to Dashing David. Definitely check out his streams. He's great. Makes a lot of videos, informing people on the latest content around, Final Fantasy, and related gaming information. Hey Tana.
Hi, Tana.
Hey Tana. She has some great videos out there as well. Big Cloudy streamer. She's had people like Britt on her channel, so that's awesome. Little Dreamer. Hello, Dia, Soul Beanie, Limit Break, Zareth in the live stream. Kaname. Tony. I don't know which one to go as, but yes, thank you everyone. Talmanez. Hello. All right, we're gonna get started. First, cloudxtifa.com. And in fact, I wonder if I have. Now I wish I had done a big well, okay, whatever. We'll make it work. Okay, so now this is cloudxtifa.com. The background is by Azazel on Twitter. She's a big Cloudy artist, so check her out. But a couple of, I don't know, it might have really been a couple of years ago at this point. We just kind of had this idea like, hey, cloudxtifa.com is not even a website URL that's taken. Like, this was Nightmare's idea, Nights into Dreams. And so we were like, well, what the hell? Let's make a website. I'm a software developer. Supernova's a software developer. We have artists. Rhea, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the best artists in this in the Cloudy community as well. I mean, the girl is a jack of all trades. It's insane. But yeah, so we have a lot of.
I haven't mastered his time.
Yes, but we have a lot of talent in the Cloudy community. Let's bring everybody together, try to make something here. And so yeah, Supernova, Nights, and I have been. We decide to make this, and again, the background is Aze's art. I absolutely love this. It reminds me of Cloud Tifa and Eris Church and Avid Children. When they're doing the little yin yang pose is great. And this is a fluid website. So whether you're on, a phone, a tablet, a desktop like I am, it will meld to whatever you're on. So that's awesome. And we have over 200 posts right now, but trust me, if you know Cloudy, There's a lot more content to come. We have barely scratched the surface. Okay. So, this time next year, it may literally be 1,000 posts. Okay. So we are adding more and more stuff every week, every day, really, at this point. We're in beta phase. So we would love for y'all to go to cloudxtifa.com/register. And I will put all the related information once I do an edit of this. I'll put all the related information in a post. Under the actual video. So you'll have all the links you need. But you can also go to twitter.com/cloudy. Cloudy.com. And you'll be able to find, let's see, cloudy.com. Yes. So just to show y'all, this is cloudy.com. And any updates and stuff like that, we will put here. Okay. Now, so just to give you a quick preview, because we're going to be reading from 2000 Guild to Become a Hero. Let's say this is basically a search engine for anything Cloud Tifa. That is the concept. And not only canon materials and official materials, but eventually we will be adding stuff from art, any type of content creation. So, if David, for instance, has a video, around Cloud Tifa or, something like that, that he'd like to load, as long as it pertains to the topic, he would be able to register, eventually be able to load his whatever video he wants to here, and then all we have to do is approve and it'll be here. And you can if you want to see anything that I posted or anything that's my content, you can type in Stygian Sis, all that will come up. Nightmare, you'll be able to type her name in, that'll come right up, etc., etc. But also it's great for finding canon confirmation stuff. So right now, if we explore, we have all of these tags. So we have FF7, we have popular tags, but we also have the compilation. So you can see here all of the parts of the compilation, reference materials, so Ultimanias, guidebooks, etc. And we're still, again, this is beta phase. So anything that you feel is missing, or the menu doesn't seem quite right, let us know. Of course, you can log in, you can leave feedback. Please leave feedback. Feedback is so key right now as we're working on phase 2. Because, we want to know what you all want. And I have a lot of ideas I'm just not ready to reveal yet, but just want to let y'all know that feedback is there. But let's say popular tags, canon confirmation. Once you click there, it reloads. And so anything that we've tagged canon confirmation, a lot of it will be Ultimania quotes, videos from the actual game, etc. That will all come up. Let's say, and then we also have reference materials and resources. So you're like, shoot, I can't find where to read 2000 Guilds to Becoming a Hero. And real quick on that, the thing says become, our graphic says become, but the actual translation says becoming. I've heard both, so until I get ultimate confirmation on which one it is, that's why there's that discrepancy. But anyway, when you're actually looking for it here, you can just say you're not sure which one. Let's just look up 2000. Okay. There it is. Now this is an analysis from Nightmare, I believe, but you go down resource and there'll be a category for resources, etc., etc. So now we can go here and bam, right there. You can see comments from other Cloudies. And yeah, it's just that easy to use. We want it eventually to where you can type in any, promise, and anything related to Cloud Tifa's promise comes up, all that. So that makes sense to everybody?
Makes it easy to find it.
Yeah, so really excited about this. Again, please go to cloudxtifa.com/register. We also have a forum. Go join the forum. You can also go to, whenever you go to a post, by the way, this is a great feature. Let's say you're looking for something and you want to post it to social media. You can click X, bam, right there, and just hit send. Excellent, right? All right, so done with that. Thank you for listening to that. Now we are actually getting to the book. Really excited, Rhea. When they first announced this book, I was like, or this novella, I was like, okay, what are we about to get? Because we've never actually gotten anything from Cloud's perspective like this
Well, the thing
in
is,
novella
like
form.
Cloud, exactly, because Cloud is very much because Cloud as himself is kind of sequestered in a best kept secret until part 3. Like getting anything on him is just like, where is it? Where is it? I need it. Like
Yes.
I feel like a crackhead looking for my.
I'm ready to call TMZ. Like, where the hell is Cloud Strife? What's going on?
Exactly. So finally getting his perspective instead of everyone else's view of him. It's very rare. So like when this was announced, it was just like, we're finally getting his perspective. Huh?
Absolutely.
I need it. I need it now.
Absolutely. I was so grateful to Nojima for writing this. Just like, I mean, I didn't think anything would excite me as much as Trace the Two Pass did outside of whatever was in the game. Little did I know Cloud Team were going to kiss in the game, but but
Like, oh,
like, wow, okay, something.
I am way well
But
fed.
what's the bombshell is this happened before the kiss. I was like, whoa, wait a second. And when we were reading it, I was like, oh my God, like there's so much good lore in here in general for Cloud. And then, of course, what we're going to end on. So, all right, let's get started. Rhea's going to start us off with the first 2 pages. Let me just... Google.
Yeah, so we're going to read the first 2 pages, and then at that point, we're going to pretty much like have our thoughts on it. That way, we're not stopping and starting every 5 minutes, because I know how we get.
Yes.
So once I get the go-ahead, I'm going to read full through. Again, have mercy on my soul. I will trip over my own tongue, and not in a way that is cute. So be kind to me.
All right, Rhea, you are... Let's see. Let me see if I can make this bigger.
Let me
oh, and by the way, written by Kazushige Nojima, who is the main scenario writer of the remake trilogy. This was released in February 2024, a week or 2 before Rebirth came out. So this came out in the Rebirth World Preview book, which means they intended for you to read this ahead of Rebirth. Okay? Very important to keep that context in mind. And this was translated. You can see the translators right here. Very grateful to them. Pico, finalized by Fun Facts, which is great. Woolen Needles, also helped translate it, edited by Extravagant. So, okay. All right. We're good to go. Start us off,
Hi,
Rhea.
Honey Bun.
Hi, Honey Bun.
Yes. All right, so now I'm nervous. I'm getting stage fright.
Be afraid.
Be very afraid.
Okay.
The internet is a very harsh mistress. The place they called the exchange station seemed to be in a continued... See, already tripping up.
No, you're fine.
Seemed to be in a confined pasture. In the darkness before dawn, only the campfire and its surroundings were a tinted orange here and there. There were no special facilities. Tall weeds swayed in the lukewarm breeze, and Cloud lay buried in these weeds, gulping air to escape the pain in his chest. He was bent out of sorts from being rocked in the back of the truck for 2 hours. It was motion sickness. Barely 15 minutes after departure, he started to feel queasy and nauseous. Maybe he'd feel better if he threw up, but no, couldn't do that. The eyes of his fellow travelers were on him. Leon Leonard and Joel Rodon were talking to him about something that he couldn't quite focus on. Leon was supposedly 15, while Joel was the same age as him. Everyone in the cargo truck headed towards Midgar were volunteers for the Shinra army. It was Leon who noticed how sick Cloud looked and pointed out that he was suffering from motion sickness. No way he would admit to that. He couldn't show weakness to these 2 guys. They would be enlisting in the same year as him. Just didn't sleep well, he countered. Then he pretended to doze the rest of the night and ignored them. He'd rather be seen as some kid who couldn't get enough rest due to excitement for the upcoming trip to Midgar. That was a way better impression than being a guy too motion sick to...
You're cutting out a little bit for some reason. Like every couple of words you're cutting out. Yeah.
All right, hang on. Seymour, get over here.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. All right. We can hear you for the most part. Keep going. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gazing up at the stars in the night sky made him feel slightly better. He cautiously raised his upper body to observe the exchange station. The truck that transported him was visibly in the light of the campfire, the very same covered vehicle from the Shinra company that he would catch sight of in Nibelheim, which drove around carrying daily supplies, personnel in charge of inspecting and maintaining the important facilities, such as the Mako reactor and pipes, and occasional passengers such as Cloud. They would meet up on the they would meet up with the helicopter at this exchange station and reload passengers and luggage. The driver was a middle-aged soldier named Milo Bennett. The helmet and goggles he wore only revealed the lower half of his face, so what stood out to Cloud most was his pointed chin. When Cloud was leaving the village, he saw his mother handing over a bag to Milo, who was in the driver's seat. Was there a pie wrapped inside? Cloud was carrying one of those paper sacks too, but it was probably crushed inside of his knapsack. He noticed Leon and Joel were talking amongst themselves in the truck, glancing repeatedly out at another campfire situated in the opposite direction of the truck, and whispering in hushed tones. They were looking at a little old man who had set up a small table on which various goods were spread out. He seemed to be doing some sort of business there. Nearby, a chocobo was relaxing. Cloud guessed it might belong to the old soldier. Cloud distinctly remembered that this old guy had been talking to a young woman when he got out of the truck. So, where did she go? A quick scan of the premise revealed her talking to another man, who was camped out at a distance away from the old man. The two of them were on the other side of the road, across from Cloud. The woman was half cloaked in darkness. Was she avoiding the campfires? The man who she was speaking with also had a chocobo. His back rested on the sleeping creature. Its legs were folded. He looked up at her as they spoke. He was wearing a black suit that looked out of place there in the grasslands. On top of that, the hair that sprung out from underneath his black hat was pure white. The woman turned to face Cloud and smiled. Cloud hurriedly looked away. He pulled out his knapsack, which he had been using as a pillow, and pretended to inspect it. He sensed the woman approach him. "Good evening," she said. Cloud glanced up. Her face was hovering over his, with freckles that spread from side to side along the base of her nose. How old was she? Clearly, she was older than he was, but he couldn't tell by how much apart from being dotted with freckles and the fact that she was wearing an open-collared shirt that exposed the mound of her chest. Feeling awkward, Cloud looked away. "I'm Emma Mosberry. What about you?" "I'm Cloud Strife." Let me see. Since you came with that truck, you must be from Nibelheim or around those parts?" "Yeah, I am," he answered. Emma nodded knowingly. "You look pale as a ghost. You get motion sickness?" "No, not at all," he lied. Ignoring his response, "So you're sick. I know that you're one of the Shinra Army's new recruits, so I'd suggest you get better real fast. If you fail the enlistment, you won't be able to apply for another 6...
You're
What?
cutting out again.
Damn it.
Started
And I was
ignoring
doing
his
that.
response. Yeah, you were doing good, but it started
Yeah.
cutting out again.
Ignoring his response, "So you're sick. I know that you're one of Shinra's Army's new recruits, so I suggest you get better real fast. If you fail the enlistment exam, you won't be able to apply for another 6 months." "What?" That was the first time he'd heard that. "I mean, if it's only motion sickness, then you'll be fine," she said. The truth is, riding in the truck made me sick," he reluctantly confessed. "I knew it. I met a lot of people here, so I could tell. Here, drink this." Emma offered him a bottle of crystal clear liquid. "Delicious northern water." "No, I don't need it." "I bet you're on an empty stomach, aren't you? At least drink some water to rehydrate, and then lie down until the helicopter arrives." "No, I'm already better," he protested. Emma let out a small sigh. "Are you hopelessly stubborn or what? What good will it do you putting up a front with me? You're feeling sick, right? They won't let you get on the helicopter looking like that. Well, I have permission to board." "Oh, I bet you do. But whether or not you get... Sorry, my accent out there. But whether or not you get to hide... Whether or not you get to ride this is up to the pilot." Oh, sorry. "And if any transport appears to be sick..." Wrong voice. "They will be left behind to catch the next helicopter that has space available. But it'll cost you, and even then, it's the pilot's decision to take unscheduled loads. Do you have the guilt for that?" "How much is it?" I don't know. Depends on how thin the pilot's wallet is. Not that. How much for the water? It was agonizing talking with Emma. The woman kept bringing up concern after concern after concern. At this point, he wanted to just buy the water and rid himself. Think of it as a housewarming present from me, Emma said, her eyes darting over to the old man. But keep it a secret from him, okay? No, I'll pay for it, Cloud replied, thrusting a hand into his rucksack and rummaging around for his wallet. Oh,
You good?
yeah, I accidentally hit the back button because my mouse is kind of broken.
Got you.
Where was I?
I just started the last thing because when I edit, I can just clean it up. So
Gotcha.
wherever you want to.
Gotcha. No, I'll pay for it, Cloud replied, thrusting a hand into his rucksack and rummaging around for his wallet. All right, then let's determine a price. How about 150 gil? His hand froze. That's expensive. See? So why don't you just take it? I mean, the cost is almost nothing, really. But there's no reason for me to take it. We just met.
Has
anyone ever been kind to you?
Go ahead.
I know what you're thinking.
Go ahead.
I'm
sorry.
Hold it in.
Whew. Go ahead.
Clench.
Go ahead.
Okay. Has anyone ever been kind to you ever? She sassed as she thrust the bottle at Cloud and then swiftly got up to her feet. Thank you for your business. After a final wave to Cloud, Emma dashed off in Leon's direction. As though he had been waiting for the woman to leave, a trooper slowly approached Cloud. It was their driver, Milo. How are you feeling? Any better? He asked. Not sure. Don't really feel any different. So, you also knew I was sick from riding in the truck? Also knew? Oh, is that what the lady just said to you? Yeah. Sure, I could tell. As you know, I happen to be pretty good at my job. Aren't you with the logistics unit? That's exactly what I do in this business, but I'm not a trooper anymore. I'm contracted by the Shinra company to drive people here and there in the area. The combat uniform gives me credibility. There's even a weapon in the driver's seat. You see, every once in a while, we get hijacked by hoodlums. This stuff helps prevent that. Milo removed his helmet. Real equipment, real trucks, but it's an imposter on the inside. The face under the helmet was surprisingly young, with an old scar across his cheek that looked like a burn. Yeah, I used to be a trooper, Milo continued, but who cares about me? If you have any questions about the military, Midgar, anything, I'll tell you what I know.
All right.
You had to clench that in.
Clench. Okay, now. So that was the first 2 pages. And again, we're reading 2000 Guild to Becoming a Hero. We will be reading to chapter 8. I'm sorry, not chapter 8, Jesus. We'll be reading to page 8 of 11. That will be in part 2. We'll be doing 9 through 11 and doing a full summary. So, Rhea, initial thoughts.
Well, we get a good idea of how Cloud's mind works. He is very cognizant of how he looks to others, almost to a point of almost being anxious about how he's perceived by others, because he knows if he behaves one way, it will give the perception of being weak, of an easy target. So even if it means being perceived as an asshole, he would rather be than someone taken advantage of. And I can understand that because he has been the pariah of Nibelheim. So this is kind of an extension of that.
Start from there because you really, for some reason, your mic is breaking up. So say he's been this pariah of Nibelheim. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's essentially been a pariah in Nibelheim. So if he shows weakness because he has this low self-esteem, he deems that he's going to be picked on. So now he's in this environment where he don't know anybody. And he would rather be perceived as an asshole than as somebody that's weak. And that seems to carry on and inform his decision even in the game. Like, he's not actually an asshole, but he plays the role of the asshole because it's better than the alternative.
Yeah, it's like I'll reject you before you reject me mindset. And I want people to understand where, at least in my opinion, and I think, first off, I want to say, I don't know this, obviously, but this really does not feel like an 11-page novella. I want to remind people that Trace the Two Paths, how it actually started was in the World Preview book, you had Picture in the Past, which was about a little portion about Aerith, and it turned into a full-blown book. It would not surprise me at all the level of detail he is putting in this, and the amount of care he's putting into this. I mean, even giving side characters last names and stuff. I mean, I just find it so interesting. Like, to me, we are going to see this, whether we're definitely going to see this expanded in part 3. I have no doubt in my mind on that. They've already made references to it in Rebirth.
Yeah.
But it really would not surprise me if this becomes a book. So I want to start there.
Yeah.
And
also, it feels like this is kind of like the teaser. So once part 3 does come out, because we've heard whispers that they're going to continue the compilation to after, like, up until Advent Children and beyond. So I don't know if that's going to stop at Dirge of Cerberus, or we're going to get their earned happy ending after Dirge of Cerberus, because how many times are they going to save the freaking world?
Yes.
But I do think that once we finish the compilation, that kind of
it's going to open the floodgates.
End of it.
Yeah, because for one, they're really going to see their true core audience, who their true fans are. And I don't even mean that in a concept. I just mean, like, once the dust settles, when all of the mysteries and everything has been revealed, and the dust settles, and people decide, is this really a game for me? Is this really a series I want to see move long term? They're going to be able to see who their core audience really is in this juncture. And if it's sustainable enough, they absolutely intend to continue. And honestly, I mean, this game is so freaking popular. I don't see any world in which this game will not continue well into the future, even if it takes some time to do so. But yeah, so I agree.
Exactly.
This feels like, and unlike with Trace the Two Paths, real quick, Trace the Two Paths, it did make sense to finish the whole thing before Rebirth. Rhea does have a point. Maybe this will be broken up to where they give us this teaser here, but we will see the finish of it because of everything's going to be part 3. We will see the rest of it around, like really around, or directly after part 3. I could see it even coming out a couple of, 3 months after part 3 or something like that, or a month after part 3 for all we know. So we get that full Cloud story, and I would love to see if Zack had a like they do Cloud and Zack, like they did Tifa and Aerith.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it would be nice if they did that, especially considering the fact that once we do get part 3, there won't be any mystery left. So now it's just like, okay, so here's what
let's
been leading up to him being a grunt, and why he wasn't allowed through to Soldier, because we know he is physically capable even with his motion sickness. But why was he denied, and what did he go through? Because we are learning here why he did what he did to get there, but we don't know what he did while he was there, because he's only a cameo in Crisis.
Yes. Yeah, he's only a cameo
to a
in
different
Crisis
point.
Core.
Exactly. Now, to a different point, we also get to see how we get a better glimpse of how he feels about people being very pushy. So we, in part 2, in Rebirth, we kind of get an idea that he pushy onto him. He don't like it. But we still get a better idea of where his mind is, because it's not just him playing an asshole. No, he's actually annoyed. Like, can you leave me alone? Hey, Emma.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah.
What do I have to do or say to get you to leave me alone? And this is a recurring theme. He does not like it when.
Yeah, again, you're cutting out again.
I can relate.
Your mic's cutting out again. I don't know if you may want to disconnect or reconnect. We heard most of what you said, but yeah. So with Cloud, you mentioned being into his getting into his mindset, and what I was going to say before I jumped into I definitely can see this being expanded is Cloud is, we have to understand, he is kind of the redhead stepchild of Nibelheim, as the colloquial term goes. Sometimes, for whatever reason, people attribute his behavior to Tifa, but what this is showing is, part of what this is showing to me, it's about his overall status. If you read Trace the Two Paths, and that's why it's so important to read all of this, not just select what you want to read. Actually read all of the things that Nojima is writing, because they all connect. There's a character called Monami who talks about Claudia and Cloud and his father. And you can hear the condescension, and there's actually jealousy there, envy there, but also a lot of looking down on, there's a lot of looking down on, some internalized misogyny, and this is a female, older female character, and Nibelheim is a very traditional village. Now, it doesn't mean all the people there are bad or anything, because but it's just there's certain things, certain ways that things are done. And Cloud and Tifa, though Tifa managed to, just because of her personality as well, managed to toe the line to where she was not an outcast. She also, in the same sense, felt a bit like an outside, like an outcast, internally. And I think that's also why she gravitates to Cloud a bit as well, because Tifa understands she's very popular, but she doesn't like the reasons that she's popular either. It's, like she's the darling of Nibelheim, she's Brian's daughter, the councilman's daughter. She's, and so she's kind of idolized at that point. She doesn't really feel seen either. So that's where they connect, but on different levels. I always call this, Aladdin. She's the princess, he's the pauper. She's Jasmine, he's Aladdin. And and when you actually think about this story, big blue alien thing comes from out of nowhere, transforms him into the ideal guy in his mind. But when all is revealed, and he's revealed to really just be a pauper, Jasmine is in love with the true person he is, and they live happily ever after. I mean, it's exactly.
I mean, it's true. I mean, yes, Robin Williams' genie is great, but most jinn are, so it tracks.
But yeah, so Cloud operates this way because of the general way that his family is viewed in Nibelheim. It's not about Tifa. And this shows, like, it's not about the particular person. This is just a mindset that Cloud has always had. There's a quote in one of the Ultimanias that says, basically that side of Cloud that says not interested and blah, blah, blah. That actually stems from real Cloud. Soldier Cloud, there's a lot of hyperbolicism, and we can get hyperbolic sometimes in the way that we discuss Soldier Cloud, but it is based on real Cloud. And by the way, I should have said this before, I always forget. Complete spoilers for the entire compilation. If you don't know the compilation and you don't want to know the compilation, this is not the stream for you.
Over 2 decades. Okay. You had over 2 decades.
Yeah, like this is really not the stream for you if you do not want to be spoiled to hell about this story. But so Soldier Cloud, the reason he comes to be is what we even mean by Soldier Cloud. When Cloud and Tifa reunite at the train station, this happens right before the game as we know it starts. There's 43 days where they're on this journey to save the planet. When he runs into Tifa, he's already been infiltrated by Jenova because of the experiments. She reads Tifa's mind and reads Cloud's, true desires, basically. Which is why that's a term that's used in terms of him in relation to Tifa multiple times. Okay. And this version of him that is based partially on his true self, at the core is his true self, but constructed around it are mannerisms, memories, and things from Zack. Even some stuff from what's been really interesting about Rebirth, they even expand on the Sephiroth part, because it's not really that many times in the OG that he actually mimics Sephiroth. There's a lot more of it in this iteration, in this remake. So they really expand. When he says, it feels like there's different people inside of me, you really can see that this time. It's so apparent.
Exactly. So one of the ways that I often put it, so when Cloud is found by Tifa, Cloud, essentially his psyche is a compass with 2 north. Tifa is 1 north, and then he is closer to himself with her. And then you have Jenova, who is the other north.
Yeah.
Jenova also includes Sephiroth in this allegory. So a lot of the time it's whoever it has the most influence is the version of Cloud you get. But in the middle of all of that, and I believe I said this previously, Cloud wears Zack like a shield. So that's where you get so even when you're playing the game and you know that Zach is he's gone, you still feel his presence because Cloud is still relying on Zach to protect. So that's why you do find how Cloud mimics some of Zach's aspects because Zach protected him such a large part of his catatonic state.
Mm-hmm.
So he is still wearing that as a shield because that is what safety. Now with Sephiroth is the embodiment of strength.
Mm-hmm.
So where Zach is his shield, Sephiroth is his
sword.
Mm-hmm. And that is so that is the embodiment of strength and why he mimics that because he wants to be strong and safe.
Yes.
So even beyond the context of Tifa, because yes, he will always have this affection for her. He will always love her. And yes, it's debated what that love is, why it's debated, but that's my bias. But a lot of it
what the Earth is flat debated too, but go ahead.
Right. But the fact remains just that he grew up as a social pariah because the world, even now, even in the real world, we look down on single mothers, especially in traditional environments. So even if Tifa was a picture, he would still be viewed as a bastard. Yes. He would still be treated as such.
Yes.
So having this sword and shield to protect himself, that prickly exterior, Tifa's not there. Like right now, she's not here. And yet he's still prickly. He's still protecting himself, even though his bullies almost, because the other tumors were essentially his bullies, trying to squeeze him out of their social circle like a zit.
Yeah, because they were very protective.
He has no reason. Mm-hmm. Exactly. He has no reason to maintain that shield, but because of the trauma of always needing to defend himself and his actions, and because he wants to be Tifa's shield, protecting her from any bad thing that could happen, all of those culminate in him just like
including other people including people who he feels does not actually see Tifa for who she is. I mean that's also a thing going on. But yeah, all excellent points. And people take, like for instance, there is this quote that says Cloud mimics Zack when he gives Tifa the flower. What you're saying is like Cloud is always looking to find a confidence within himself. Mm-hmm. Zack side of him just gives him the confidence to do things that he wants to do anyway. Okay. But there's also two sides of it because Tifa's not promoting that in him. In fact, she often finds it like, what are you doing? Like, you're acting weird. She's in love with him, but she's also not blind to the fact that he's not acting like himself. And that's even said in MTG. What was amazing, her description in MTG, it says, even though she's harboring these feelings for Cloud, she realizes that there's something wrong with him. She doesn't lose focus of that, and I love that. And, but meanwhile, then you have these forces that are encouraging, and then we'll go back to the book because we are way off into the weeds.
Well, it still kind of relates.
It still relates. And what we're doing, the reason we're bringing this all up is because when you see Cloud acting like this, so prickly with these, you're like, why is he being such an asshole? But it's really not. He's acting like this because it's a defense mechanism because of how he grew up. And having one person be nice to him, aka Tifa, and his mother, does not change the overall dynamic. You're talking about two people versus a village. That's not going to change the dynamic, and it doesn't build his, it's not going to fix his confidence issue overnight, which he just naturally has to some degree. And there, it's said that he is emotionally weak, so yeah, this all fits together. That's what, so I know it's just been 2 pages. It seems like we're going off to, but we're actually not going off to. This is all related, and why when you go through the game, like, this is why Nojima writes this stuff and wants you to have it in mind when you're playing through this stuff. And I was going to say real quick, the Zack side of him, like, you have two forces even within that. It's just so layered because, when he wants to find the confidence to do something, he does pull from that Zack. He doesn't pull from Sephiroth, he pulls from Zack. Okay. Yeah. When Cloud is desperate and knows he needs to win at all costs, like in Gongaga, when, I mean, he should have died on that platform. He had 1,000 bullets flying his way. It's framed in the same way that Zack, where Zack's last stand is. But then he doesn't go to Zack. He goes to Sephiroth. Like that's when Sephiroth seeps in, and Cloud is so desperate to get to Tifa, he allows that to happen. And to me, that's exactly what happened with that train station scene. I just wanted to tie it in real quick before we go back to this. Cloud, I think Cloud, he really thought Tifa died in Nibelheim, and he thought like that, you know. In fact, there's some deleted scenes where he's just like mumbling over and over about Tifa, you know, I need Tifa or something like that, to Hojo. And that's why I keep saying he's like a failed experiment. But, he just won't shut up about this girl, whoever she is. and so
it's his anchor. She is his anchor.
Yeah. And so when he sees her again, and he's not only so excited to see her, but also I think that part of him that's so desperate to be that, as we'll see, it's said later in here. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, there's something to say later in here. What he wants to be for Tifa. That he, like, I think subconsciously he allows Jenova to create the soldier persona. But what I think is going to be revealed in part 3, and I've said this multiple times, is I think what's going to be revealed is he saw it initially as a, you know, I get to be the hero that Tifa, you know, that I think that I need to be for Tifa. But then he realizes he's way in over his head and he can't control, you know what I mean? Like a Sephiroth and Jenova, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's going to be one of those type of stories where he just got in way too deep. But it all starts here, you know, that insecurity here, just his persona. And you see how even as a 14-year-old, he can't even admit to having motion sickness. He feels like he can't, you know, he just can't admit to anything. And then I want to go into Emma and that whole thing, because that was hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. But another thing to point out, so Cloud is very indicative of the traditional hero's journey. And part of the hero's journey, if you read Joseph Campbell's works, if you ever read it, if you had a philosophy class, I recommend reading it. Yeah, the guy was an asshole. Pick it up, though. It's still a good read. But part of that is it also branches into making deals with the devil.
Yes.
So when you are in dire straits, that deal with the devil looks like the good idea. So Cloud essentially in that moment, even though it's not traditionally I am making this, it is letting the devil in because that seems like the good idea at the time. And then you also see that is where Sephiroth makes that foothold, because strength and power is very seductive. It's extremely seductive. And you can easily lose yourself to the need for strength and power. And we see that in the day-to-day, but it's still very much part of the hero's journey. The hero has to, so that they can eventually rise.
Fall, and so they can rise, exactly. And and that is so important, because you see it in Gongaga unfold in real time, like almost an immediate backlash to it. He let Sephiroth in because he is so desperate to save Tifa. It just is. He loses his mind, and then he literally loses his mind, because now he's let him in, and now he can't. And now he's allowed Jenova to delude him into believing. Wait a second, I remember him saying, "Those you love, those you love, those you love," and now Tifa sitting here. Like he turned him completely paranoid. Like, this can't be like, that's the woman I love. It can't be her. Now, I don't think it's just romantic love. Jenova can, like he says, he can impersonate anybody. But the point is, when Cloud, because Jenova can't impersonate anyone, so it's not just about who you love, who you hate, and there's no in between. It's literally, anyway, it's like Mystique, okay? But the point is, what Sephiroth was getting into his head, what was leading up to it specifically, those you love. He starts off pointing out Tifa, and then says that thing on the Junon boat, those you love, with Tifa standing right beside him. And I'm gonna tell you something else, and then we really gonna get back to this. I think, and I'll elaborate on this another stream, but I think there's a possibility that speech was also intended for Tifa, if not primarily intended for Tifa. Now, because you have to understand, Cloud is pretty much putty in Sephiroth's hands. He's just slow. More and more time is going on. He is just slowly losing any ability to fight Sephiroth off. So it really isn't as much of a challenge to me. Like, the challenge really isn't Cloud for him. I mean, yeah, it's taking some time. He's got to finesse him or whatever, and it takes some time.
Mm-hmm.
But Tifa is the one ultimately that he has to get rid of, and he absolutely knows that. And so
Yeah.
because if you know Northern Crater, it's Cloud who he ultimately says is the one that actually isn't real. And Tifa's standing right there next to Cloud too. I think that's really interesting. I think that conversation is going to come back in some form or fashion. And man, I just cannot wait, because Sephiroth really be
Right.
doing, like, he's a chess master. He really be doing stuff 5 steps ahead.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's also so starved of an affection that he sees Tifa as the embodiment of,
What?
and Cloud
I'm
is simply
sorry.
the object
The embodiment of what?
of what he wants. So Sephiroth,
Mhm.
he lost. He doesn't have the love that Cloud does. He doesn't have the love
Oh,
that Tifa does.
he's
And
completely
he's jealous.
envious
He
of
don't
Cloud with
like
that.
Tifa.
Mhm.
He don't like her. He is essentially the other woman trying to muscle into the relationship to take Cloud away.
And
It's not
understand,
about Cloud at
Genova
the end of
has,
the day.
and understand, Genova has read not only Cloud's mind, but Tifa's mind as well. And
Mm-hmm.
she knows that Cloud truly loves Tifa, and Tifa truly loves Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And love, I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know it sounds corny, but love is really what saves the day, because Cloud gives her every reason to give up on him at one point. I mean, he literally helps Sephiroth almost destroy the world. But it's
Yep.
that love that, like, at the end of the day, they just can't break it. But yeah, and Sephiroth has never had anybody like even
'Cause everybody that
try.
he's-
Yeah, I mean, like
they've all been taken away.
Zach is the closest to every, Zach is the closest to ever tried to be that type of person for him, but obviously not in a romantic sense, but I think the betrayal of Angel and what's the name just was too much for him. But
And
trust me,
Genesis,
we
yeah,
just need to have a
honestly.
whole conversation about Sephiroth and Tifa, because that is
Nah,
a
we
that is a
will. We
crazy. Yeah, we're
absolutely
absolutely
will.
gonna have so we're gonna go back to this, but yeah,
Because
we're definitely gonna have a
Sephiroth
conversation
is
on that.
Unlucky in love.
Oh
He
Lord,
is so unlucky in love.
my God. But yes, alrighty. So, and then I just want to say about the Emma thing. Yes, absolutely. And I just want to say about the Emma thing. Well, of course, I've read through this, but hearing you read it out loud, man, it was screaming Cloud and Air so much to me. It just was. I was like, my God.
Tell you to click.
I was like, oh my God. Like, it hit me like a freight train. I was like, geez. Okay. I mean, just for one, one thing though about Emma, because this is a conversation that often comes up. What is really Cloud's attraction to Tifa and blah blah blah? And
Her tits, apparently.
yeah, he notices that Emma is well endowed, and he feels, I didn't say like he's turned on, but he feels awkward and turns away. Okay.
Yep. He's like, I'm not looking. And
Okay.
also, he just wants her to go away.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like he notices that she's attractive and whatever, but it reminds me of Tifa with Rakesh as well. Tifa notices his physique, notices that he's an attractive guy, but nothing comes of it. I mean, like, she's not, because she's just not into him like that. So it's not about attraction. And you have to understand, these Cloud and Tifa, what's so great about Nojima capturing this moment in time? Cloud and Tifa by this age have already decided to devote their lives to each other in some form or fashion. Tifa said, you will see what Cloud says at the end of this, but Tifa also says she had decided on that water tower she wants to spend the rest of her days with Cloud. That's not a small thing. That's not an inkling of if this were real life, and a 13-year-old comes up to you and says, oh, I want to spend the rest of my life with blah, blah. But this is a piece of fiction. And to some degree, every word counts in something like that. You're not going to make a declaration like that between a hero and a heroine, and it means nothing leading up to. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to.
Exactly.
This isn't something where you have to read into what a play is and try to tie characters into it, which is nothing wrong with that necessarily on the face. But you get what I'm saying? This is very straightforward. Tifa in her own mind saying, "I want to spend the rest of my days with Cloud." You don't write sentences like that, and that isn't what ends up happening at the end of the day. Especially when this is the same girl who he makes this promise to, which is this is based on. This whole
Exactly.
situation is based on the fact that Cloud, before he got on that water tower, had decided he wanted to join Soldier so that he could be Tifa's hero. Period.
Exactly. So exactly, this is the traditional hero's journey. There are subversions of expectations, but this isn't it. Like
this
it
is
still,
not it.
For all of the subversions of expectations, it is still beat for beat the hero's journey in the traditional sense.
Absolutely.
So,
the mere fact, even in OG, the mere fact that they would put that water tower scene, which again, this is basically right after, because this is the spring where he joins Shinra. The fact that they would even put that promise scene pretty much right after you meet Tifa, of them making this promise 7 years ago under the stars about he'd be her hero whenever she needed one. I mean, you know right then who his love interest is, who it's going to be. Doesn't matter what happens in the rest of the game. That is the end game. So yes, that's why, man, it's just like, and for Nojima to decide to capture this moment in time is so great. But yes, Emma's insistence and her
pushiness is a turn off for him.
Yes.
But also, I think part of why he wrote it this way is because just like, okay, we're going to remove our heroine, going to put this in a neutral setting, so that as us, the readers, when we view this, we're not like, our bias towards our waifu does not paint how the scene plays out. So we can clearly see, without trying to whataboutism, is that Cloud is annoyed by the pushiness. He's not crazy about it. He doesn't like it.
And the thing is, we are hearing his inner thoughts right now as well. You see what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to read into, well, when he does A, B, and C, he's really just, because notice, he's not saying, I was just pretending to be annoyed in his mind, but I'm madly in love with her, but I'm pretending to be annoyed right now. No, he's just annoyed. You see what I'm saying? So you get to see both sides. Yeah, real quick, you get to see both sides, because you get to see when he actually is just putting on a front to try to look cool for whatever reason. Okay. Versus, so you got when he's just trying to put on the front, like with Avalanche, just to look cool, or even with Aerith, like, oh yeah, I don't remember you, whatever. Whatever. Well, versus when they tell us, like he pulls from Zack when he wants to get the confidence up to give Tifa that flower, because you give a woman a flower, I mean, it doesn't take any, unless it's your mother or it's your sister on, Mother's Day or something. You don't need a whole lot of pretext to tell you that what that means, especially when you just heard a woman tell you it's a reunion, it's a flower of reunion, a reunion of lovers flower, and then an hour later you're handing it off to the girl that you joined Soldier to, want to join Soldier for. You don't need anybody to explain to you, including Tifa, didn't need him to say, this is a romantic gift from me to you. It's a flower.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what else is it for?
So he needed that confidence to do that. Like, people are missing the forest for the trees. Why did he want to pull from Zack? It's because, and he does the same thing. What's interesting, he does the same thing in Walmart. He doesn't want to dance. Then he pulls from Zack, because why? Tifa's life is on the line. He's like, look, I had to get my ass up here and shake my thing, or Tifa might get dead or worse. I mean, a whole lot could have happened to her in that. I don't want to get dark about it, but we all know. Okay.
Exactly.
So he was like, this is do or die right now. And that's why Yamazaki, by the way, Cloud's mocap said, Leslie looks at Cloud. He basically said this. Leslie looks at Cloud and thinks, like, I didn't do everything that I should have to save the woman I love. But he looks at Cloud and he was like, Cloud would do anything to save Tifa. Literally, Cloud, because Cloud has such a in some ways, like we said, a fragile ego as well. I mean, dressing up, he didn't want to dress as a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't want to,
exactly.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with dressing up. But I mean, not everybody's into it.
Disclaimer in here.
Absolutely.
We're going to put the disclaimer in here. There is a difference between a man wearing a dress, somebody that is trans, or a drag queen. There is a difference. I'm putting
there's a difference between drag. Very important to understand. Exactly. There's a very big difference. There's a difference between trans. There's a difference between drag. There's a difference between just men who, drag is the same as a man who likes to dress as a woman. All these spectrums, and I love them all. Love them all. I'm just saying that Cloud clearly did not want to put on a dress, not because he's homophobic or anything. He just, that's not his thing. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It makes him uncomfortable.
Very poor self-image.
Yeah. It's not part of his personal image. But you know what? He was he was like, damn it. I'm going to save Tifa, whatever I got to do. Yep, okay. So I love Eren, like, and notice the last thing Eren said to him, you do want to save Tifa, don't you? And then he walked his ass in that club until he said, well, that's all I need to hear.
Yeah, it would have been Magic Mike up in this bitch.
that is so important. That's literally the last word she said to him before he walked up in there.
All right, I'm doing this.
So yeah.
Fortunately, nobody had cameras.
But yeah, I like that. And I like what you said. They bring this neutral person in. Emma, who is, in some ways, I'm not saying in all ways, obviously, but in some ways, Aerith adjacent this particular interaction. And he literally says, where's the part where he says, but we just met? Let's see.
It's page 2. Around concern after concern after concern. I really enjoyed that bit.
Yeah, see, she said, think of it as a housewarming gift for me. And what does Aerith say? Think of it as a memento. And then he's like, he's like, no, I'll pay for it, just like, the flower thing.
It's a foil. It's a foil,
exactly. And then so he says, but there's no reason for me to take it. As in, why are you just giving me something? He's suspicious, just like he was suspicious
with me the flower.
Yeah, exactly. Like we just met. Literally, we just met. Like what is your end goal here? It actually says he thinks Aerith is a con artist, and so he's looking at Emma like, what are you up to exactly?
In all honesty, though, after reading this, I understand why he thought so.
Yes.
Like once you read all of this, you understand.
Yes.
It wasn't out of nowhere. This makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Now, granted, we're not saying they are the same person. I want to be very clear about that. We're not saying the same person, but
there is a clear distinction. However, the 2000 Guild to become a hero informs his decision when interacting with Aerith because of what Emma did and what we'll learn happens on with Emma. That is informing his decision. He has learned from the past and is using that information, that knowledge, to apply it to the current. You're supposed to do that when you're learning. That's
exactly. Just like his interactions with the trio. Oh my God, what is that kid's name? They had the dumbest names too. Emilio. I mean, not dumb. It's like, I'm sorry, I don't mean it, but I'm just saying, I like those little jerks. I like those little jerks. Lester is a hilarious name. I'm not gonna lie to him. But yeah. But just like how the way that he is so abrasive with Avalanche when he first meets them, there is a parallel there. But then he realizes, these are actually great people, and he comes to, love them as friends. Just like he comes to love Aerith as a friend, he comes to love them as friends, and he mourns them when they die. And stuff like that. Like, I mean, Jesse and Aerith are, Jesse was the one who had a crush on him, and then, and people thought their thing was ambiguous, but when it came down to it, Cloud was flat out asked by Aerith, of all people, and Gold Saucer, she was just a friend. You think you think there's no parallel happening there? I mean, I'm just saying. Exactly. Notice Tifa never asked that question. Okay, she was not confused at all. But yeah.
Yes, Emilio's everywhere catching strays. I said what I said.
Yes, poor Emilio. I actually wonder if we're gonna run into Emilio again. But anyway, okay. So now I'm gonna read the next two. Because we took a long time on that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to continue on to the next couple pages. I'll just kind of go, we'll stop somewhere eventually.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me move this a little closer so I can actually see it. Okay. Cloud was confused. He wondered what the man's reasons for this was. When Milo realized what the boy was thinking and explained, "Your mother gave me a pie and a gratuity. Please take care of him. If you have time, please show him the ropes." So not only did she give him pie, but his mom had also given the guy money. Cloud felt ashamed that he hadn't realized. "I didn't know," he admitted. "Motherly love is so sweet, I guess. By the way, is there anything you need? Do you have any gil?" Following Emma, Milo was the second person to ask about money. Attempting to be somewhat evasive, Cloud answered, "A little. Gil is important. It makes military life quite flexible. With enough cash, you won't have nothing to worry about and you'll never lose. What are you talking about? Let us in on it too, said a male voice. Before Cloud knew it, Leon was approaching with Joel and Emma on his heels. All about life in the military. I'm your senior after all, Milo answered. I want to hear about life in Midgar, Emma requested. To this, Milo began to recount, your head will hurt from the stimulation and temptation. The city smells like iron and the flowers don't bloom. I grew up in the countryside, so it's a tough place to be. Too bad. But I'd still like to go, answered Emma. Well, I don't know a whole lot about Midgar either. I was always on active duty at the campsite, Milo admitted. Hey, Cloud, Leon interjected. What did he teach you? Only sharing with you is cheating. Cheating? Cloud's voice became agitated. Cheating, huh? Milo snorted. Cloud's mother asked me to help him out. This is a legitimate service. So she paid you? It seems like both parent and child are cheaters, Leon said, feigning complaint. Cloud bolted upright and glared at Leon. Now, Emma intervened, patting Cloud on the shoulders to comfort him. Cloud, sit down, Milo ordered. Should I be saying Milo or Milo? I say Milo.
I go with Milo because of Atlantis.
Yep.
So Milo Thatch. Milo.
Okay. I just want to be, yeah, okay. All right. It must be difficult at your age, but getting angry won't work now. That, Milo looked at Leon and continued, that's right. You too. Stop saying things that will cause trouble or you're going to get beaten up by the guys. In the military, you should smile and say hello. Read the room and keep your temper. Behave. That's all. Those who stand out as making trouble get pushed to the front lines and used as meat shields against the monsters. Milo scratched the wound on his cheek with his fingertips. I don't want to listen to this, Leon pouted. I believe the Shinra army is passionate and a good place. You young men will be broken in soon enough, Milo retorted. I'm not going to be a normal infantryman, Joel. Joel, who had been silent until then, finally spoke. I'm going to be a soldier. Cloud looked at Joel in shock. He was also aiming to be a soldier, but he had no intention of declaring so, especially here. The young man felt a sense of defeat overwhelming in his chest. Isn't that amazing? Emma's eyes widened in surprise. Soldier, Milo said, unamused. Ah, I see, like Sephiroth, the great war hero and the type of man most kids admire. But those same kids are often the ones who make trouble for the military. But do you guys even know what a soldier is? They're special soldiers with combat abilities beyond that of ordinary people, independent from the military. They're assigned to a specific department and dispatched to resolve various crises. So, do you know then how to become a soldier? By the way, if you want to check on the chat, if y'all have any questions or anything you want to say, Rhea will take a look. On to page 4. I keep saying chapter 4. Page 4. Cloud, of course, didn't know. He looked sideways at Joel, who was biting his lower lip. It looked like he didn't either. Not only that, but Joel seemed to hate losing. They were similar and felt shame. Tell me, how can I become a soldier? Cloud asked, trying to overcome his feelings of insecurity. Huh? You want to be a soldier too? Milo was surprised. Yeah. Then I'll tell you the process. First, you'll have to take the physical exam to become a regular soldier. There is an investigation, health status, athletic ability, eyesight, hearing, etc. There is also a written test, but that one's easy. Once you become an army man, for at least 3 months, you will spend your days in basic training for new recruits. After that, you will need to gain experience at your assigned location for 1 year, exercises, actual battles, all sorts of things. If you overcome that, you'll finally become a soldier. Is there an aptitude test? Joel asked, glancing sideways at Cloud. Of course, soldiers are required to be above average in every aspect, combat ability, mental health, etc. Health conditions such as disabilities and chronic illnesses make it impossible for soldiers to fight. Milo looked at Cloud. Motion sickness could be a problem. Huh. Think about it. There's no need to have someone who can't move with 100% strength from the moment they step on the scene, right? Joel patted Cloud on the back comfortingly. Sorry, I said too much, Milo said. Sounded genuinely sympathetic. For soldiers, traveling by land, sea, and air is inevitable. You'll get used to it eventually. Just do your best. I have heard that. Emma lowered her voice. Is it true that you have to undergo special surgery to become a soldier? Milo looked at Emma before eventually nodding. It's been rumored. Cloud felt his heart beat rapidly. He hadn't heard mention of a surgery. What kind of surgery? Cloud couldn't help but ask. We talked about a lot of things, but to be honest, I don't know about much about human modification surgery. There are various rumors about being implanted with a mysterious monster cell or being injected with the Department's special medicine. Cloud was both excited about learning the soldier's secret and afraid of the surgery. Anyway, if you do undergo that surgery, will you be able to become a soldier? Emma asked before the others could. Yeah, everyone becomes a soldier once the surgery is completed. But whether or not you are being promoted within soldier is another story. There are first, second, and third classes. First is just a few elite people. If you can make it to second class, you'll be happy. Most people end up in third class. Besides that, there's a high probability. Milo stopped mid-sentence. Well, do your best. Even at that's hilarious. Even in third class, you get a pretty high salary and are considered to be an elite. Milo patted Cloud on the shoulder and then put his helmet back on. The helicopter is scheduled to arrive in 30 minutes. Make sure you get some rest. Yes, Leon and Joel said in unison. Milo nodded with satisfaction and started walking towards the truck. Hey, Emma said, looking at Milo's back. Okay, so we're gonna stop there. Okay, so a lot. Most of this is going into detail about what it actually means to be a soldier, and then the different rankings within soldiers. So just a lot of lore, which is great. That we've gotten some before, but we hadn't gotten some of these specific details. So, like the process step by step, which is great. We also see Cloud,
lose his temper.
Yeah, we see Cloud lose his temper.
Yeah, and it's kind of endearing because the thing is, it kind of goes back into our previous discussion about how Cloud was a social pariah and how, as a single mother, his mother would have also received similar negativity. So he was fine, just like being cool, calm, and collected. But the minute they mentioned his mama, he was ready to throw hands.
Yes, and I swear that is real. I swear we're going to see something like this out of part 3 or out of the rest of this novel, because I feel like a lot like Cloud often getting into these fights. I think it was part this attitude that he was giving off. Not that he was getting an attitude, but you ever been like somebody who clearly just wants to fight with you, but you're not giving them what they want, and so they it instigates something. I think it's part that. There's definitely some jealousy there, because even though the other boys didn't know for certain, everybody kind of had the feeling that he was Tifa's favorite. I mean, I think she was more apparent about it than she realized.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing, real quick, I'm sorry, just finish this point. One thing that is said in Rebirth is Tifa confronts Cloud a bit, and she's like, you were always staring at me as a kid. And he's like, what? And so he didn't realize how obvious he was being. But what I take out of that is, how would she know that if she wasn't always looking at him too? And I think other people, just like how the rest of the team is picking up on these two constantly, it's kind of that thing. Yeah. So I think we'll see that. But this whole mother thing, I think that's going to be part of what, because I guarantee, I mean, they were already talking trash about his mama in Trace the Two Paths, not to his face, but I'm sure a lot of stuff around that happened with those kids.
Most kids of single parents, myself even, like, we're used to hearing, even now, it is always the single mom's fault. Nobody really questions, like, why the dad left. I mean, yes, in Cloud's instance, dad died. It's anybody's fault. But the fact remains just that it also shows that for the people that he does let in, his mother, Tifa, and eventually it extends to Barrett, and then it extends to everybody else, where it's just like, you can talk shit all you want, but the minute you talk to your loved one, then you see that fiery personality that he's in. Mm-hmm. Because most people see Cloud as cool, calm, and collected, because he, as Milo said, if you act a fool, if you're gonna be reckless, that's what gets you pushed to the front lines, to essentially be the meat shield, like he said, to be cannon fodder, to be the first person that gets shot.
Yes.
He took that to heart, but the minute you talk about those loves, which, again, obviously his mother, Tifa, those are the two most important. And then even in Remake, before you even get to Rebirth, you see that extend to him becoming protective of Barrett, even though he and Barrett have a really interesting
but
friendship.
he doesn't
you
lose
see
his
that
cool though. He
he
doesn't.
doesn't, but
He gets
still,
protective. Yeah, he's protective, but he doesn't
yeah,
actually
he gets
lose his cool.
protective.
Yeah,
Exactly. But then as it progresses, you see him getting increasingly protective of his family because, so going back to when Sephiroth says, those that you love, in the plural, it's now he suddenly loves all of these people that he wants to protect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he's just like, fight me.
Yeah.
And you see that fiery persona come out more. So this is just kind of giving us a foil to this mentality of those that are already in, he will answer.
Yeah.
Even if it goes against what the image that he's trying to portray. And then as time, and again, you have his friends and him kind of weaseling in and how he is willing to go to great lengths for them. But it takes a while to get in there. But once you're in there, he will fight for you.
Yeah, and of course there's different levels, there's different types. And they said that Rebirth is about bonds, and again, this was written before Rebirth. Remember that context. This is written before Rebirth. Exactly. So they want you to draw these, Nojima, as he's writing this, he wants you to draw these parallels. And this is such a short, just 11 pages. So every detail matters to something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It really is brilliant writing. I just love this so much.
And the fact that he's 14 here, he's still a kid. He is still like going through the throes of puberty where his hormones are all over the place. But he is still he is pretty thoughtful in his actions, but he does have his triggers. And here you clearly see what his triggers were even before the augmentation and Jenova and everything. You know that Tifa, he will do anything for her, and that is one of his triggers.
Yes.
And you can get him to go on stage and shake his ass for people. You can get him to kill a bunch of people.
You're cutting out again. Now you gotta, I didn't hear the last couple of words, but yeah. That's, and I like that you bring up this time period. It's this 2-year time period. What Tifa's doing from 13 to 15, she's learning to hone her skills not just as a fighter, but hone her emotions. That's what Zangan is teaching her. There's a point where he goads her into a fight, and he's like, "Look, this is a weakness. You're gonna have to learn to control this." And Milo, to some degree, I mean, he's not Zangan to him, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? No, like, Cloud is also trying to hone himself, not just physically, but emotionally as well, because he knows he has certain triggers, So that's very interesting. While other 13 and 14-year-olds are just off playing or doing whatever, or even Emilio and them, they're just like, "Hey, let me go get some money, so I can let me go get some money so I can get back to Tifa." Cloud is like, I don't just want to be strong. I want, it's not just Cloud wants to be an ideal version of himself. He wants to grow into a man for Tifa. It's not just a matter, I want to impress her with some money, And people have to realize, when you're talking about the traditional hero's journey and stuff like that, and he has some samurai inklings about him and stuff like that. Cloud you have to think what Cloud's purpose is at the end of all this. Is it just to go back to Nibelheim and be like, "Look, I can swing a sword really well. Oh, hey friend Tifa, I can swing a sword really well. All right, bye." No, that's not the point. This man is trying to be, let's just keep it real. He's trying to be a provider. He's trying to be a husband. This is husband. He's trying to be husband material. He sees a life with Tifa when nobody's joining the damn army. Yeah, no. He's listening. Exactly. He's listening to these people like, "You got to go through experimentations, all this, and hey, this is gonna cost all this money. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to learn to control yourself as a person. It's not just about physical strength, because you will easily become monster food. This is about." Yeah, this is about being a perfect version of himself. He thinks
wants to be a provider.
Yes, he wants to be able to a protector and a provider. And to him, Soldier embodies both of those things. Sephiroth and Zack really are an afterthought. And what I mean by that is his goal is, as we'll see later, is, like you said, to be a protector, provider to Tifa. And the means in doing that is Soldier. The examples of it for him are Zack and Sephiroth. It was never
Yeah. So
about
basically,
being Sephiroth. He didn't want to be
exactly.
Sephiroth. He wants to be like Sephiroth because he sees Sephiroth as someone who is like the traits he emulates is someone who would be worthy of someone like Tifa.
Exactly. So it is. So it's not so much he wanting to be Sephiroth. Sephiroth is the concept. It is a manifestation of this. So here's a real world example. You want to buy a house. You're going to have or the house of your dreams put on a friggin' mood board or something. You're going to see how much it costs to have a physical manifestation of your goal.
Yes.
So it's not about Sephiroth the person. It is Sephiroth the idea. It's not about Zack the person. It is Zack the idea.
Yes.
These are the concepts manifesting into a tangible thing that he can work towards. Because
Exactly.
it's one thing to be a hamster on a wheel. It's another thing to actually see the carrot that you're chasing.
I mean, let's get to a very common real world example. You want to be a basketball star. You want to be a singer. People have idols for a reason. Like, it's called an idol. Now, you may think you love to grow the person as a person or whatever, etc. But I don't think Cloud ever got to that point with Sephiroth any more than like just he admired his ability to get there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. You look for someone who emulates what you want to be in life. That's what Sephiroth is for him. That's what Zack is for him. Now, granted, Zack is a different matter entirely because he also became a true friend.
Yeah.
It started out with admiration, but he truly became a mentor, a friend to him. And so it's a different type of what he has in Sephiroth is a false idol in multiple ways. Because one, he's not just a normal human being walking around. He's got Jenova cells. He was literally manufactured to be the perfect hero.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as we learn in Ever Crisis, he wasn't actually the hero that Shinra is. The propaganda machine is putting out.
Absolutely.
He was a kid also.
Yeah.
It is all smoke and mirrors.
I mean, there's so many religious tones to this stuff as well. Beware of false prophets. Sephiroth is the false prophet. He really is. And so, and Cloud realizes that at some point, when he's like, I'll never be like Sephiroth. I think more as time goes on, because even in Crisis Core, he doesn't really care like to have interactions with Sephiroth necessarily. He's just again this idol, like I want to learn from him, etc. But he actually genuinely wants to spend time and like hang out around Zack. He doesn't ask Sephiroth to his. When I think about that email he sent, he didn't ask Sephiroth to dinner with his mom. He asked Zack. Now maybe exactly. Maybe things could change in the next one. Maybe he's like, well, shoot, my mom might like a war hero or whatever. But he's asking Zack because he's like, he says, like, what you said really moved me, etc. He moved him as a person.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. And also, how do you not like Zack? Like, Zack is like a puppy.
Like,
saying you dislike Zack is like saying you dislike puppies.
I know, really.
Don't fight with me,
it's
fight
truly
with your mama.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. And let's see what else from the simulation. They talk about how rough Midgar is. Let's see. Oh, and then talking about his mom, that really set him off. And man, he's a little jerk. Yeah. I'm like, dang, what are you putting his business all out there for and stuff? Like, dang. But yeah, a great warrior type of person kids admire, etc. Just making sure. I thought there was something I want to say, but this is why we're gonna go back in the second one and do a full thing, because we're gonna do bullet points at the end of that. Yeah. So, all right. So let's start.
Yep.
Let's start.
All right. I'm ready.
5. Okay. Let's do 5 and 6.
Yep. I'm ready.
And I'm
ready.
In the chat.
Get over here, Seymour. Do you know about Turks? Turks? Of course, Cloud did not know. So she explained, they scout for future soldier candidates. What do you mean by scout? They find people who seem to have the talent and make them become a soldier. If a person has natural skills, they'll kidnap them and force them to turn into a soldier against their will. What do you mean by against their will? Isn't that a crime? Leon asked, frowning. But they'll skip the tests. let me make sure. Okay, that's Emma. Okay. But they'll skip the test and training that Milo mentioned, Emma offered, glossing over Leon's concern. Isn't that great for people who want to become soldiers at once? Joel then lowered his voice. Hey, Emma, how do you know that? I know because, Emma replied, matching Joel's vibe. I heard it from him. She moved her gaze and turned her attention to the man in the suit. The man was strange. He was resting his back against a chocobo, yet seemed completely unconcerned.
You're cutting out again.
Or is running a... She moved her gaze and turned her attention to the man in the suit. The man was strange. He was resting his back against a chocobo, yet seemed completely unconcerned with surrounding events, looking heartless even. That old man in black is actually a Turk. What? At this point, Emma's voice got even quieter, barely a whisper. Even now, I hear they travel all over the place, looking for soldier candidates, of course. Why are you whispering? asked Joel. Because it's scary. He might kidnap you, she replied. But I want to listen to his story, Joel looked at Cloud. Right? He then invited Cloud to come along. Cloud silently started walking towards the man, passing Joel. Wait! Joel called as he chased after him. Emma and Leon followed, but Cloud was a fast walker. He's had plenty of practice. In the end, it was like a race between him and Joel until they arrived in front of the man. The man brushed aside his bangs that were spilling out of his hat and looked up at Cloud and the others. He had strange eyes. The color was neither blue nor green, and a strange, unnatural shape formed within each. I'm not interested in you brats, the man stated bluntly. We haven't even said anything yet, Joel retorted defiantly. You heard about my work somewhere, right? Yes, it's true that I'm a Turk, and we are looking for soldier candidates. But I'm looking for the best. You guys are just brats. Mm-hmm. Are just brats, not much greener than the grass around here. But Sephiroth became a soldier when he was a kid, didn't he? Joel countered. Sephiroth's the pinnacle of soldier. A whole different class, the man responded as he stood up and towered. He was a big guy. But I like your spirit. I respect your dreams and aspirations. Those are the most important things in order to become a victor. I want to support you. If you boys are serious, accommodations can be made for you. Standing next to Cloud, Joel immediately asked, What do you mean by accommodations? He took a step forward. Please, I'll do anything. Emma slightly pushed Cloud back. Emma lightly pushed Cloud's back, making him panic. Me too, he said quickly. The man nodded and grabbed Cloud's chin with his short hand, examining his structure. Right, left, up and down. Not bad. It's suitable for heroes. He then looked at Joel. You should rise to the top with your own abilities. It's what I want, responded Joel with clear conviction. What about you guys in the back? The man looked at Leon and Emma. Leon shook his head from side to side, and Emma waved her hands, muttering, That's too crazy for me. Suddenly, Leon asked, To become a soldier, you'll have to perform dangerous operations, right? But you will need to pass the training and aptitude test as well as the as a trooper, as well as the preoperative exam. That's the situation, the old man explained. Cloud was upset that a new condition had been added. Why were there so many hurdles? Preoperative exam? What does that involve? Joel asked. Regents are injected into the body to test what
you're cutting out bad. I'm gonna start from here. Yeah. Okay. So, regents are injected into the body to test whether or not you can withstand a foreign substance being inside of you, and if you have a negative reaction to the stuff, if you have a negative reaction to the stuff, will lead to death. Scary, Emma muttered. What do you mean, a foreign substance? Joel further inquired. The man paused and put his index finger to his lips. It's a secret. Suddenly the man clapped his hands. But hey, soldiers are in a different world from you guys. There's nothing wrong with being regular soldiers. You'll have enough to eat and send money home. Isn't that enough? Now go back and wait for the helicopter. At that, Emma began to probe. I'm just asking out of curiosity, but what were you talking about before? About making arrangements. I'll introduce you to the general. General Lazard used to be a former top brass in the military. If you have those connections, you'll get priority considerations for pre-surgery testing. You won't have to spend months idling around as an infantryman. You still have to pass the test, but it's better than waiting and worrying every day. Both nodding, Emma and Leon seemed to understand. However, the man looked at Cloud, then at Joel. There's a fee, 2,000 gil per person. Several adults, including me, are involved. This is the actual cost required to make the arrangements. Let's say that it also proves your determination to become a soldier if you're willing to pay that much. 2,000 gil, but that's a lot of money. It's just not possible. Emma pouted, then turned to Cloud and Joel. In a cheerful voice, she added, "You'd be glad to just give up." The man snorted. "Well, that's the end of the story, so go on." With that said, a man in a black suit sat back down on the grass, his back leaning against the chocobo again. The chocobo opened its eyes for a moment, then closed them. "I left my backpack unattended," Cloud realized. "Is it really 2,000 gil?" asked Leon. "Sounds like," Emma confirmed. "He's seriously expecting us to pay that?" Cloud was listening to the conversation between the two of them from behind and getting anxious. He realized that he had left his rucksack unattended and his belongings were now not at the spot where he left it. He looked and saw Emma going to the store. Joel and Leon were walking towards the truck. It should have been there. Cloud closed his eyes and thought about the moment when Emma gave him some water. He mentally retraced his steps. Where did you see the truck? How close was it to the bonfire? Where was the old man's chocobo and the man in the black suit? Open your eyes and check your position. It was just as he remembered. It would be strange if his luggage wasn't there, but he couldn't find it. Where was it? Did someone take it? If it was stolen, it must have happened while talking to that Turk. Cloud was suspicious. Was it Milo, the truck driver, or the old man from the store? But then he heard his mother's voice in his head, telling him it's not good to be suspicious of others right away. So, yeah, just reading through that, obviously, not only does it feel like a con job happening, but also
it's a hustle.
It's but it's also eerily similar to just in general, like how people are lured into, nefarious, dangerous situations. This lure of, even the way they're like, you got to be a certain kind of person. Oh, it's just impossible to join. Oh, you can never. If you could just. I could get you a connection where you could jump the line, but you got to have 2,000 gil, and but you'll probably never make it anyway, though. So don't worry about it. Don't waste your money. It's very. Oh my God!
Yeah, it's high pressure sales. So it's like when you go to like Hollywood and you have somebody there like, oh, I can make you a model.
Yeah, but
you in and you pay that fee.
Yeah, it's like if you're really determined, like you're not serious about this. If you really want this, you'll find a way to make this happen. You'll come up with that 2,000 gil if you really want
money to make money.
Now the thing is, this told him earlier that there's only like a handful of soldiers. So you think nobody could come up with 2,000 gil?
Exactly.
But again, and then the fact that these are children too, it's just so and it goes into this Shinra, like how predatory Shinra is. They leech off the planet. They're so predatory to these children. Cloud is 14.
He's a baby.
And they're talking about human experimentation, sending them off to war, and all this. It is so scary, but it's really not that far. It's really not far-fetched from the real world at all. You can't join the army here at 14, but there's a lot of places you can. At 14 and 18, to me, maybe it's just because I'm 36, that really ain't that big of a difference. 14 to 18, it's a lifetime difference to them. That is small fry. Like, yeah, you're technically an adult, but not, you are still a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And also, like, there was a period of time where it was okay to enlist at such a young age. And even then, you're sending these little kids to military school that much different.
And how, like you said, Cloud's 14, going through the throes of puberty. He just left home for the first time. He's completely vulnerable to the world and super susceptible. Even somebody is, because Cloud is intelligent. Cloud is,
he's extremely intelligent.
He's not an inherently gullible guy, but he's still a child.
Yeah. And we as adults can see the con because we already know, okay, so all you have to, if you've ever gone to a magic show, the the cute girl in the dress is to distract you, to draw your eyes away from the sleight of hand. That's essentially what's going on.
And I could say a
here.
lot about that too, but I don't. But yeah,
but it's still very much a we see the con because we're adults and we have experienced a couple things, and because of those world experiences, we see the con for what it is. It's a big old red flag.
Yeah.
But a child that is still new to the world, even one as intelligent and observant as Cloud is, because we can already see he's extremely observant. And part of that is from always being a target, so you have to always be aware of what is preying on you. He's still not used to these predators. He's used to the predators from back home.
Yeah, and that's so interesting because his mom says, don't be so distrustful of people when you first meet them. Like, first off, I just love that. Like, Claudia still has that loving spirit about her, even though, she's dealt with these situations in Nibelheim. And it's not like she doesn't have any friends. First off, Claudia and Tifa were very close up until, I think Tifa says they used to hang out all the time. Yes, until she was about 8. They were always hanging out, okay?
Yep. In and out of each other's houses.
Yeah, like, and you really gotta know somebody to just be walking up in their house, okay? Like you don't knock, you just hey, it's Cloud home, like hey, that is how close they're. Again, because it's not like you said, it's not just them. For the kids to be that close, the mothers got to be that close because I'm not gonna let my kid just run out into somebody's house. Right? I don't trust. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to know you on some level. I don't think she and Brian were ever close, but she definitely. I truly believe she was close to Thea. There's no question in my mind, and we're gonna see that.
They were absolutely.
Yeah, we're gonna see that in part 3.
Yeah, but I absolutely think so. The two of them were probably. I want to headcanon that they were thick as thieves because literally the kids door knocking what. Doors locked
like you ain't nobody just gonna walk up in my house, little kid, and like, where is your parent, baby? But no, but seriously,
and Auntie Claudia,
but yeah. So I love that she has that nature about it, but also, but you also have to know when to trust as well, and I think just as a kid, he just heard those words. He's like, well, I am distrustful of people, but he's distrustful of people for the wrong reasons. This is a situation where even just the fact that he left his 2,000 gil in his knapsack and didn't even think of, that's something. We've all been to a club and we're like, hey, don't leave your purse instead of, I'd have put it with or leave it with a friend. If you're going to go dance, leave it with a friend. These are just things because we have had something stolen for us, or we know somebody that's had something stolen for us before. So like you said, as adults, we just see this naivete and it's cringy. It's like, oh, Cloud, no, baby. Right?
It's just like, I must protect the baby.
And it's like, so now he's out here and it just gives him another reason to distrust people. And so when you see, despite people's personal interpretations of things, when Cloud says to Aerith in Gold Saucer, when she's like, oh, well, she's like, oh, I'm a teensy bit jealous. I can go find, basically I can go find somebody who will want to hang out with a cool person like me. He's like, don't do that.
Exactly.
You have a 500,000 gil bounty on your head, girl. Okay, this is not the time to be trying to run off. And he knows she has it. Like, what's interesting, and maybe Nightmare, because I think she's watching. She can tell me the exact term that this author used. And Aerith does have this naivete about her, and this is how she has this naivete about her that I think the others, because they had, Tifa and Cloud and Barrett, they all had to grow up real fast in many ways, you know. Aerith has been well, Aerith was protected by Elmira, by Elmira's family, by the Turks. So she is naive in a lot of ways, and I truly don't mean that as an insult. I mean, it's just like naturally more naive than the others who have had to live on their own and survive in the real world, and they've had to get conned like this. Now she is safe with Cloud and Tifa. I mean, she's safe with the group, but yeah, that's why Cloud has the reaction. When you read through 2000 Guild of Become a Hero, you see. I really believe he sees that in her. So when she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna run off with another stranger, knowing that she'll run off with strangers because he's a stranger and she ran off with him. And he's like, girl, if you don't stop.
It's just like, girl, if you don't sit your ass down.
Yes.
Because also, there was another instance when you're on the way to Junon in Rebirth, and you come across the Chocobo Cloud is just watching as she gets conned, and it's just like, did you learn your lesson? Did you learn your lesson? Finally, did you finally learn? Because I'm not going to be here to protect you.
Yes,
the Turks aren't there to protect her. And yes, we have the entirety of the new Avalanche group protecting her, but it's just like she's going to learn eventually.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, due to circumstances, she doesn't get to evolve with this new knowledge, which is part of the tragedy of her character.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
that part just screams like, seeing that naivete and like seeing Cloud. Yeah,
exactly.
So I just love that you see all these little things that you can pull from Rebirth that remind you of certain stuff. And then you also take Tifa's side. Cloud also has some things that he's still learning as well, because remember, Cloud goes into stasis essentially when he's in this coma or whatever,
15.
when he's 16, yeah. And loses 5 years. And so you see this on the way to a smile. And again, Nojima wrote all of this. He kept saying, read On the Way to a Smile, read The Kids Are All Right. I want you to read these and Traces to Pass as you go into Rebirth. This is why, because you see there are times where Cloud, he's bad with bartering with money. I was just reading some on the way to a smile today. I literally keep the thing on my desk because I read through it a lot. And she said, sometimes he loses them money, but Tifa's like, it's worth him to get the experience. So that
for him to learn.
Yes.
Because he
didn't get a safe environment though this time, because he's not all out on his own. He has Tifa. He has that rock, that support to be there when he falls, when he falters. And she also realizes he can't tell certain vegetables apart. And she initially thinks to laugh, but then she stops it. So she's like, no, I shouldn't laugh about that, because she knows Cloud. And even though she just thinks it's cute, she knows Cloud and knows she knows he's going to take it as mockery, because she understands his fragile ego. Whereas people like, Barrett, Yuffie, particularly Yuffie and Aerith, they'll make jokes and they don't mean any harm by it, but it cuts deep sometimes, and he doesn't find it funny. He's like,
exactly.
No.
Like, not everyone views teasing in the same way. I mean, my brother sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. And he can tease me, but if somebody else were to come around and start teasing me and they don't know my insecurities, then it's just like they can accidentally hurt me. Mm-hmm. And it's part of why, on the topic of Yuffie, Yuffie has more world experience than
most
Aerith,
of them,
right?
honestly.
So honestly, yeah. So a lot of the time, it's that Tifa and Aerith are foils to each other. It's actually Aerith and Yuffie are more foils for each other as well, because Yuffie is so worldly. She's so aware of the world because she is a child soldier that was in the world.
Yeah.
And she goes through a lot of shit. I can't wait for her.
Yeah, but she also is still 16, so
she's still 16.
And a
lot of these people have shortcomings, and I think that's part of why Cloud even emulates Barrett after a while. Like when the option came to hug Tifa, he doesn't know. And he is learning through observation, and part of their journey is learning to grow up. Because early 20-somethings, to me even, like, I'm 34.
Babies.
I look at 21, 20 years old. They are babies to me.
Babies.
They are children. They are zygotes. They are babies.
A glimmer in their father's eye, as they say. Whatever
they are still being concepts. They are still being molded into the people that they have the potential to be. And part of learning is, unfortunately, experiencing these things and getting things wrong. Mm-hmm. But in this situation, especially like in 2002 Gil and in the road on Rebirth, there's high stakes in these lessons. Whereas when you're children, they're low stake lessons that you can carry on into adulthood. Mm-hmm. Cloud, Tifa,
and Tifa also got conned, by the way. You know, I mean, Nojima's drawn a lot of parallels between the two of them. They're, like I said, they both were thrust for different reasons, but thrust into the world by themselves, and they have to learn these hard lessons. And that's why when you go through Rebirth, who are the two, even beyond Barrett, that act the most like the adults in the room? It is Cloud and Tifa. They are often, I mean, they really are a partnership in many ways. I mean, even just something as simple as who drives. She never seen Cloud drive a car a day in her damn life. But who does she trust to drive the car? Cloud, hey,
Exactly.
Pastor
They
Kid and
rely
him.
on the both.
They are
They
truly a
rely on each
partnership, and
other.
they're
Yeah.
showing the beginnings of what becomes Strife Family, the core unit of Strife Family, which is Cloud and
Exactly.
Tifa.
They
Because
make
yeah,
up for each other's shortcomings. They
yes,
make up for
they
and
very
they
yin and
rely on each other
yang.
for
They're
that.
very yes,
But
absolutely. They're very yin and yang
exactly.
with that. Whereas you just see there's always this like they have this connection to the others. They love
Mhm.
the others, but
Exactly.
it's just
And
never
they
going to be the
and they
connection that
look
they have with each other for so many reasons. Hmm.
exactly, but they also look to the others for these life lessons. So again, that's why I always call Barrett Papa Bear, because he is the team dad that they are looking to as an example, because he
Hmm.
knows these things. Whereas Cloud's lived experiences, unfortunately, he lost a big chunk of the experiences that other people his age would have gone through. So yeah,
Hmm.
he got hustled. Here, Tifa got massive medical debt. Like they all gone through
Yeah,
some shit,
they
but
got they got
it was
nearly twice
high
as much
stakes
as yeah.
learning.
Hmm.
Yeah, they were high stakes learning. Whereas, and I do like how this also and informs her character, because the Avalanche team kind of just like, okay, we're gonna create the stakes education because to sit your ass down, like letting her get conned by the chocobo,
The
but still
chocobo.
be like,
Sorry,
no,
what were you saying? The
by
chocobo?
the
What?
chocobo,
Uh,
the chocobo farmer
oh, farmer. Yes.
on
Okay.
the way
Because
to
you.
Zora.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. It kept
Yeah,
every time you wanted to
they
say
let
it,
her.
it kept cutting out. I was like, "What? Chocobo?
Yeah.
What?" Okay. Go ahead.
But yeah, the chocobo farmer is just because that was a low stakes lesson,
Hmm.
because and that was something none of the other characters were. So it is nice to see that, yeah, this is the lesson that he learned, and it was, I wouldn't say middle stakes. 1,000 gil is, but it's not
Yeah, but he ain't gonna die. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
because
But it was still
if he
a
got
lesson.
caught, a lot of people just give up and go back home. I mean, he always had that option just to go back home. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
It's
yeah,
not like his mom would say, no, you can't come back.
yeah. But also even just the fact that he didn't know that his mom was trying to help him behind the scenes. He's like, oh, I'm a sweet mom. He's ashamed. Like Cloud is constant. Like it has nothing to do with the particular person. There is a core part of Cloud that is emotionally weak that has these. And there's nothing, by the way, just at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with having weaknesses at all. Every character has
Yeah,
weakness.
exactly.
The difference is learning to learning to control your weaknesses, not let them control you.
Yeah.
It's not like
And
Cloud
also
suddenly
learning to
doesn't
ask for
have,
help.
yes, it's not like Cloud suddenly doesn't have insecurities, at the end of Avid Children. He, it says, in the Ultimania, with the support of this important Tifa, who is this important woman to him, his, I mean, his partner, whatever, and his friends, he learns to move forward. And I love this quote. I'm telling you, it's one of my favorite quotes ever around Cloud and Tifa. When she's talking to Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts, she said, and Sephiroth's like, he'll never be rid of the darkness. She says, she basically, he don't have to be rid of it. It'll just be in a place you can't reach. That is so powerful, such a powerful statement. Cloud, she's not changing who Cloud is. She embraces and loves who Cloud is, but she supports that emotionally weak side of him, and she is able to help bring out, the strength in him. Yeah, to help him move past those weaknesses. But it really is a great line, and I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it was Nomura or Dojima, whoever wrote it, some other person, but it's just a great freaking line out of Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah. They are supporting each other's shortcomings, because it's not just that
Hamaguchi says they ground each other. He said that about Rebirth. They ground each other. So imagine the rest of it.
Yeah, because Cloud has his strengths, and he uses strengths to help Tifa, and Tifa uses her strengths to help him in his shortcomings. Because all of the characters have shortcomings. Who is reeling Cloud back when that fiery part of him starts to be like, fight me?
Mm-hmm.
She reels him back. And when somebody is trying to walk all over Tifa, Cloud's like, you know how he got that look of his. It's like, he ready.
Tifa's very, and he may take it as like, some people take it as her being a pushover. But really, when we're looking at this and what happened with Cloud at the beginning, that guy was like, not being able to control your temper can literally lose you your life. You got to pick your battles. What do you care if this guy thinks you're weak because you have motion sickness? It doesn't matter at the end of the day. you know?
Yeah, and
Um,
unfortunately, in order to survive in the world as a woman, you have to be agreeable. So yes, a lot of women suffer from being people pleasers.
yeah,
And she had to survive on her own. Part of that meant being agreeable. Even back in Nibelheim, it's just everybody was leaving her. And if she was agreeable, then more people would stay. So both of them are conditioned into these negative personality traits.
mhm.
And that's not saying that they are bad, but it's just nobody is perfect. And you can understand where these negative traits
Yes.
came from.
And they're not looking for
Oh.
each other to be perfect. In fact, they're finding out these weaknesses about or learn a little bit more about they're really learning each other through rebirth. And again, Nojima wants us to learn them through Trace of Two Paths and 2000 Guild to becoming a hero, leading into rebirth. I mean, I can't stress this enough. Read reread Trace of Two Paths, read this or read it for the first time, and then play Rebirth and let that information inform everything you're watching, including the stuff around the LTD. You know, it really can change your perspective of what you're seeing. A lot, man, I almost wish I get that you can't require reading for some, but man, I'm telling you, people would have a it doesn't totally change your perspective. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's pretty obvious what the hell is actually going on. I mean, to some degree, if you're not blinded by, bias in certain aspects, and even if you're confused in certain parts, it's pretty obvious that Tifa is the love interest. I mean, you don't need a book to tell you that. But I just think as a person who likes Final Fantasy VII and wants to know more about the world and know more about the characters and have a more intimate understanding of the characters. I know, and Nightmare and I had this conversation. We played Remake and then we read Traces of Two Paths. And after reading Traces of Two Paths and replaying Remake, like it was like it was almost a new experience in some ways. You know what I mean? It recontextualized a lot of stuff, so it just felt so much deeper. When she says that shower thing, like there was even a streamer that made mocked, like, why is she talking about taking showers? Like, this is kind of weird. This is kind of sexual or something. But then you find out, no, she literally had to pay just as a 15-year-old just to take a shower by herself.
Yeah.
So when she says she needs a shower, like, it really informs it. So that's what I meant with the whole when Cloud has that reaction to Aerith talking about running off with a stranger. People want to take that as something romantic or he's jealous, but no, he's like, girl, you gonna get yourself kidnapped, killed, something.
It's just
there's something to be said about the trusting nature. Like, don't jump at the world, but at the same time, don't be naive, don't be a fool either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because the thing is, like, Aerith is still innocent. And as a martyr character,
as a martyr character who's the one that dies young, that Virgin Mary type figure. Now, she's not an actual virgin, but you get what I'm saying. Like, that's kind of, in some ways, that's the kind of the place that she encompasses.
Exactly. Yeah. But she is still innocent. She is still the innocence that all of Avalanche wants to protect. So when she wants to run off and do these things, it's just like Cloud, Tifa, all of them, they're like, the fuck you doing? Sit down.
There's so many, and again, that's what Cloud. Yeah, you good. Cloud and Tifa, they really do act like the parents, because like, and so many of their interactions, I mean, like with Yuffie and Aerith, are similar too.
Exactly.
It's just so funny. Was like when they were doing that goofy dance, trying to get Sid to come, like, Tifa literally had her hands on her hip. She was like, "Girl, all right, I ain't doing this shit. I mean, I love y'all, but I ain't." Cloud and Tifa both like, we ain't doing that goofy shit.
Yeah, just let the kids play. However, like, I'm not gonna lie, when we were first at Gold Saucer, I wanted to like those leash backpacks that you put on top.
Yuffie is, oh my God, I love you. But yeah, and by the way, I'm loving Yuffie especially this because Nojima was out there like, oh, what about 30-year-old Yuffie in the future? And then people started talking about all their Cloud and Tifa, like, oh, what, she be auntie to Cloud and Tifa's kids, and Nojima was liking all the posts, and Cloudies were having a field day because we want some more Clouds, we want some more Strife family, and I swear we are getting it sooner than later. Oh my God, yes, I'm so excited.
That's why I think we're going to get more of the compilation after Dirge.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we gonna get that happy ending that they've all deserved.
I need people to keep their eye on the prize. Don't let this nonsense that goes on in the fandom distract you, okay? Or even the goofy marketing sometimes they see at the end of the day they trying to just reel people in.
Okay?
What Hamaguchi said this. You really want to know what's going on? Play the game. That is what you need to pay attention to.
However, I will say I'm gonna line up all the people in March and slap them. Be like, why aren't you announcing shit? Okay?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, pop out. Give us something. All right, so we're gonna read the. Yes, this is the most important 2 pages for me. So, all right, so Cloud realizes that his knapsack is missing. Let's continue. And what I'll do, by the way, in a final cut of this, I'll just do basically where we do actual commentary on the story, and then I'll do like not a blooper, but whatever extra content reel, because we said a lot of interesting stuff here, but not all of it necessarily needs to be in this. But we had a lot of great discussion here, so I'm really excited.
Don't worry,
we'll
get the clips.
Yes. I'm definitely gonna be clipping the hell out of this one because I really want people to pay attention to this story. So I just want to talk to him. He thought to himself, "Oh, I'm sorry." But he heard his mother's voice in his head telling him it's not good to be suspicious of others right away. Cloud took a deep breath and let it out. I just want to talk to him, he thought to himself. Oh, I'm sorry, real quick. This whole, don't be suspicious of people. I mean, this is basically what Tifa, it's like, hey, like Avalanche, he gives Avalanche a chance because he trusts, at the end of the day, he trusts Tifa judgment, and he lets them in, and I love that about Remake as well, is where his love and trust for Tifa allows him to slowly open his heart to other people. They include the whole group, so that's great. But anyway, now we're going to just read through and then we'll finish off. Okay. Cloud took a deep breath and let it out. I just want to talk to him, he thought to himself. Excusing himself to no one, he started walking towards the old man, then stopped. After taking 3 paces, he noticed his backpack. Sitting down, Cloud searched through its contents, a crushed pie wrapper, 2 days' worth of clothes, and his wallet. The wallet was in fact just a rugged leather bag, but supposedly it had been used by his late father. Inside it was 2,000 gil. Take this with you, his mother said. His mother held out a leather bag and said, you have 2,000 gil. Use it wisely. Mom, the military takes care of all your travel expenses, meals, and clothes once you arrive. It says so on the invitation. You read it too. I did. But that's one thing and this is another. Cloud pushed back the leather bag. I don't need it. Your father used to say, she explained with a softened voice, that with 2,000 gil, you can go to most places and overcome most difficulties. Whew. Okay. She briefly thought about how Cloud's father saying those words to her was the reason why they would sometimes save 2,000 gil and then she would secretly spend it afterwards. It's true that your dad has been gone for a long time, and yet it seems like since then the time has gone by so fast. For a moment, her face grimaced. So take this with you. It's all I can do. Dawn was about to come. The silhouettes of the mountains surrounding the exchange station were surprisingly close together. Near Cloud, a bonfire was burning in the grassland where there was no brightness at night or in the morning. He was sitting with his backpack clutched to his chest, resounding the crushed pie. Don't waste this money. Keep it forever. Cloud remembered the promise he made to himself when he left the village. However, his determination wavered after only a few hours. Maybe with this 2,000 gil, he could become a soldier. He could turn his dreams into reality in an instant. In this meadow, the road to becoming a soldier was more winding than Cloud imagined. Even if you successfully joined the military, you will undergo basic training for new recruits for 3 months. Following that was 1 year of training and actual combat after assignment. That seemed like an eternity to Cloud. What's more, there was an aptitude test, and even pre-operative tests you'd have to wait for. If you can't pass all those tests, you can't become a soldier. What will I do if I can't pass? Maybe it was not a bad idea to give up on his dreams and spend his time as an infantryman. Once he'd get used to a lukewarm life that Milo was talking about, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. Maybe. However, Cloud was too young to imagine life that far ahead. I don't know about anything for certain, but I know that I don't want to end up like Milo. Yeah, no, I don't want that. I still want to be a soldier, but surgery is scary though. And I wonder what kind of surgery it is. To Cloud's understanding, surgery was used to stitch up wounds, cut out internal organs, and heal injuries and illnesses. It was not having something implanted inside your body. What the hell? He felt sick. He imagined a scalpel cut through his stomach and a monster the size of a thumb being forced into his organs. Plans have changed, Milo's voice echoed across the meadow as the sun finally rose. The helicopter will be arriving in 5 minutes. Prepare for departure and gather in front of the truck. Something moved in front of Cloud. It was Joel, who was heading towards the man in the black suit. Cloud stood up in a panic and narrowed his eyes. He watched as Joel crouched down in front of the man and flashed some gil. That man took off the hat he was wearing and held it upside down to Joel. He said something that Cloud couldn't make out. A smile spread across Joel's face before he put money in the hat. The man said something again while Joel nodded frequently. At the end of the exchange, the two shook hands. Joel gave Cloud a thumbs up as he headed towards the truck. At that moment, a rhythmic, thunderous sound could be heard from a distance. The helicopter had arrived. Cloud, it was Emma. Don't make a choice that you'll regret. Think about it carefully. Before she could finish her sentence, Cloud started walking towards the man in a black suit. He didn't want it to seem like that he was only doing this because Joel beat him to it or because of Emma's encouragement. This was something he wanted to do of his own free will. He would do whatever it took to become a soldier. If there was a path, he would try to walk down it. If there was a door, he would try to open it. Because didn't he promise Tifa? Of his own free will, he had decided to become an exceptional man, to become a soldier, a hero, and a special existence to Tifa. Let's actually stop there. That's not the full page 8, but I actually want to stop it there because that's where the story really breaks it. It would seem like if we're cutting off. You see what I'm saying? Like if we continue. So, wow. Now look, of course, Cloud and Nation was losing their minds when we read this last passage. Let me say it again.
We may have gone a little rabid.
We may have a little tiny bit. He would do
just a little.
He would do whatever it took to become a soldier. If there was a path, he would try to walk down it. If there was a door, he would try to open it. Because didn't he promise Tifa? Of his own free will, he had decided to become an exceptional man, to become a soldier, a hero, and a special existence to Tifa. And I want to go back to something he said earlier. He said he made a promise to himself. Cloud remembered the promise he made to himself when he left the village. Now, this is the thing. Tifa asked for this promise. But again, this is so important to understand when consuming Final Fantasy VII. She never needed that promise. He'd already made it up in his mind what he was going to do. He doesn't start the conversation, hey, Tifa, what would you want me to do in order to impress you? He's already decided in his mind the way to be the ideal man to me for Tifa is to become a soldier. Cloud asked Tifa out on this date, and yes, it's not technically called a date, but when a boy asks a girl out to a water tower, which Crisis Core Complete says it's the date spot. That's not directly from SE, but that's essentially what it's. I mean, yeah, a boy asks a girl out to a water tower, which is like, one of the like this spot in the middle of Nibelheim, in the middle of the night under the stars, to declare his dreams in life to her. It's a date. It's meaningful. I don't need. What I love about Cloud and Tifa is they don't need to call everything what it. You know what I mean? They have a lot of unspoken. The whole thing of feelings without words and stuff like that. They don't have to declare everything exactly what it is. They don't have to declare, hey, Cloud, are you my, A, B, and C or whatever. Hey, Cloud, what exactly did this, that, like,
yeah.
They have, so like Tifa, when he says this, plus it's just common sense. I mean,
exactly.
So because when he says it, Tifa has this reaction like, oh, what will he confess on the, will he confess his feelings?
Yeah.
Blah, blah. She understands this is a date. Okay. So yeah.
She thought it was
a
date.
Cloud is a dork. And so his idea of a declaration, not that it's a bad thing, but his idea of a declaration is like, they were missing each other a little bit there. You know what I mean? He's saying, by him because he could have just told her, "Hey, Tifa, I'm going to go join Soldier. I'll see you later." That's what the other boys did. It was like, "Hey, I'm going to Shinra, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll see." Cloud wanted to do this in a special spot, and remember, this is called a play in the Japanese. It's called a place of memories for Cloud. I'm gonna go a little bit of a tangent here. Sorry. So, but if you need to write down what you want to say, you go ahead and do it. It's gonna be a second here.
Remember.
It's called a place of memories, and as he tells Aerith on the water tower, he used to go up there and basically Tifa gaze. Think about Tifa. Like, this was his spot to think about Tifa. When he said it felt nostalgia going up on the water tower, they called it a water tower memories. And he always wants to sit in the same spot, facing Tifa's window.
Looking in her window.
Looking at her window.
That's
So
how she knew she was always
So
watching.
forget what the Crisis Core Complete thing says. Think about what it means to Cloud. Even in Crisis Core, he's sitting there staring at the water tower, and when Zack comes out, like it says, that this is a special place that Cloud made his promise to Tifa, whatever. And he doesn't answer Zack, but he's being very mysterious. It clearly means something to him. Zack picks up on it, but they say something like, does he not want to tell Zack because of the special meaning it has in his heart? Rebirth is simply elaborating on that. So when he asked Tifa to this water tower to tell her this, that is all the context you need, again, which is why, please read these materials. I cannot stress this enough. And so, but all that context is in his head. You see what I'm saying? Tifa, yeah, she gets that it's a date and whatever, but when he starts talking about joining soldiers, from Tifa's perspective, I believe she didn't want him to leave, but she also wants to be supportive, which she immediately goes into support mode. Well, okay, so Sephiroth, the great war hero, isn't it hard to become a sir? Okay, well, and so she's being supportive, but then she still wants to tether herself to Cloud, so she asks for this promise. That's what that's what throws him off. He's like, why is she asking for? Like, she's not understanding what I'm telling her.
Exactly. She wants the guarantee that he's going to come back.
And he's always intended to come back.
Exactly, but she didn't think so because nobody else comes back. And this is also where their insecurities comes in, where she becomes agreeable, hoping that it will give him incentive to come back. And he, because of his, he's thinking, oh, if I become strong, that and the other,
she'll notice me. She will want to be with me. Exactly.
So both of their insecurities are kind of taking the wheel and veering them off course to realize, oh, hang on, I think they like me back.
And this is the
typical shoujo trope.
Yes, they even say about OG. There's a part in Omega, I believe, where it says, Tifa doesn't realize Cloud's feelings for her until the live stream saying, and it says, can she really be that clueless? It literally says, can she really be that clueless? But yes, like, this is the part of the slow burn. Now they've enhanced it to where Cloud and Tifa clearly know they have feelings for each other, but and I could get into that for a second.
They don't know the nature of it. They don't know the nature.
Yes,
of those
because for Tifa, neither of them realize, they know that they clearly have feelings for each other. They just shared their first kiss. I mean, not just their first kiss together, their first kiss ever. Like, this is clearly a very important moment, and especially with all the history that they have, they know they like each other romantically, but what they're going to find out in part 3 is the depths in which they've always loved each other. Tifa's going to realize Cloud has always loved her. It had nothing to do with her looks, had nothing to do with, I mean, not that she thinks it does, but I'm just saying, like, she's also just used to, she doesn't know what's on Cloud. He's just so secretive about stuff, and he's hard to read sometimes. Like, she's good at reading him, but at the same time, that's why I think in Rebirth this time, because they've kind of sped up their relationship, because now that we have Avid Children and we're leading into Avid Children, I think they're just making a more natural progression. Whereas in OG, there was so much, like, it was a brand new game, so they really wanted that total shock value of this too, like, where you realize, oh, she was always a love interest, so never really was an LTD, etc. Now they're like, well, the cat's out of the bag. I mean, it's just not gonna feel right after Avid Children, knowing that they end up together, blah blah. So we need to just make a little, make it more progressive. But I think so it's not about finding out that they have these feelings for each other now. It's about finding out the depths of their feelings for each other, which I absolutely love. And so
exactly.
Yeah, but
And also,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I've been
and
going
also
crazy.
it's just like Cloud. No, you're fine. But also, it's just 2000 Guild to Become a Hero makes it a point to be like, Cloud did this of his own volition. He wasn't forced or anything. And I think this is a response to the fandom, because there was always a question of whether or not I had forced Cloud to do this. Because, yeah, she has power over him because she bats her lashes and he goes running. But it's still very much a, did she coerce him to do this? And it's no, he wanted to volition. No one was forcing him to do anything. Everything up until this point has been his own choice. He chose to be the social pariah and take guilt for when Tifa fell. He chose to leave and join Soldier. He chose to agree to the promise, even though he didn't understand what exactly was promising. The promise that he made to himself in that moment was he was going to be the man for Tifa. He was going
special existence.
Exactly. He wants to go back to Nibelheim and be worthy of her, not realizing that.
And not worthy of being her friend. And so again, going back to the whole, hero's journey and stuff like that, and the kind of samurai type stuff. I mean, there's so many tropes in this. Cloud is like in a perfect world, in a more traditional type world, not Final Fantasy, the apocalypse happened and shit just hit the fan type world. I mean, his intention, and again, especially when you're talking about a traditional village, Brian is already looking at these boys around Tifa as possible suitors for her.
He's like pushing hard on Emilio. Like,
like he's not that he's trying to get 12-year-olds to get above. The point is,
no, but
like he's saying
really
like
Emilio.
People grow up and get married, have kids like that. This is a traditional village. Cloud, even though he his mother did his mother actually did follow that, but she's also the single mother, blah blah, and there's some nuances and some issues around that for them. But Cloud still grew up in the same village, and so when he's talking about going to join Soldier and going to become a man worthy of Tifa, he's talking about marriage. I mean, that's what I mean. Whether it's literal marriage or whatever, it's just because Cloud and Tifa live as a married couple. Without life partner. He's talking about being a life partner to Tifa. And the reason, and yes, two Cloudies are sitting here gushing about this, but another thing I love about this so much is, man, we have gotten so much flack over the years about, this isn't a love story and blah blah blah, and y'all just want to make everything about shipping and da da da. Well, this is Nojima taking 11 pages, okay, and basically the climax of it being, of his own free will, he had decided he's listening to all this scary stuff that he's gonna have to go through. Years worth of things he's gonna have to go through. Snowball's chance of hell of even becoming a soldier, and that and then after that, he's still got to have more hurdles to get to the top because remember, he doesn't just want to be a soldier. He wants to be like Sephiroth, number one. Okay. But at the end of the day, he jumps to go ahead and give this, do this because, like he said, he don't want them to think he's only doing it because he's being pressured or he's being challenged or what's the name got to it first or whatever. But Nojima's also informing us as the reader, Cloud also is not just doing this because he felt forced by Tifa or whatever. He had already made a promise to himself before he left the village, and he had already made that promise was already in his head before he ever asked that girl out to that water tower.
Exactly.
So, he's getting at the heart of Cloud's story. All this LTD stuff, all the gold saucer mechanics, and all this is all distraction, it's all distraction, red herring. It's it's magician. It's like you said, there's a lot of sleight of hand going on. It's a lot of distraction. But what we're gonna find out in part 3, this is the crux of Cloud's story. It doesn't mean that Final Fantasy VII is a love story or Cloud is whatever. But at the end of the day, Cloud and Tifa. Cloud is a country boy. Tifa's a country girl. She was the girl next door who he fell in love with as a kid. And, wanted to be her special existence, and they accidentally saved the world in between. I mean, it's just that's what's going on.
I mean,
At the heart of
like-
Cloud's story is a love story. Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
it
it's
just
a typical
is.
JRPG.
And I, what
you
I
go
take,
save a cat and you
yeah,
kill God.
yes, you exactly.
You save a cat, then kill
Seriously,
God. Okay.
seriously. No, and not just the reason he joined Soldier, the reason he ends up killing Sephiroth. He says, "Mom, Tifa, my town, give them back." He sees Tifa lying on that floor dying and flies into a rage. Okay, and and I'm telling you, I truly believe that Cloud. This is a little off topic, but not really. I truly believe Cloud, by the way, thought that he was gonna die, and he was like, "Whatever, I don't care. I know
he was like,
if
"Fuck
I'm
it."
gonna die, he's coming with me." That was his mentality.
Yeah.
Like he
went full
really
kamikaze.
thought Tifa, as we know, he really thought Tifa was gonna die. And she would have as Zanga not saved her. So this was it for him. He was like,
Yeah.
it was kamikaze, yes. And oh my God,
Exactly.
it breaks my heart, by the way. If you actually look at Crisis Core, when he's running down those steps and he passes out, he's trying to get back to Tifa. Like, he intended to die by Tifa. Like, it's just, I was
exactly. He had
it
every
breaks my
intention.
heart when I look at it.
I know.
I'm like,
but
my
the thing is,
God.
it's just like, and also go even further. He was catatonic. Zack had to take care of him for days, weeks. I don't even remember the time.
Like 8 months, like almost a year.
Yeah,
and
so,
remember,
like-
Cloud recovers within a matter of a week or so,
seconds when he sees that Tifa's alive.
Yeah, yes, but also
the thing
even
is,
after falling
up
back
until
into the
then-
live stream scene, I'm sorry, even after falling into the live stream, he recovers almost very quickly after the whole live stream scene happens. So it's not just
Yeah.
a physical thing; it is literally a mental thing. And so when he thinks Tifa's dead, I mean, it's different reasons, but when he thinks
he gives
Tifa
up.
is dead. Yeah, he emotionally, mentally just gives up, and that's why they say he reverts to a sense of normalcy when he realizes Tifa's alive.
Exactly.
And
So that's why it goes back to the statement that his mental state is a compass with
is what
without
sorry.
Tifa.
Mhm.
Without Tifa, he was catatonic. He would not have survived. The only thing keeping him alive was Zack protecting him.
Mhm.
And then, but as soon as Tifa is there and alive and in front of him, he's functioning again.
Mhm.
Like, and yes, he is still broken. The course of the game is him putting himself back together. And yes, a lot of Clodies, we love saying that Tifa facilitated that, but Cloud was still the one putting himself together.
Oh yes,
Yes, it was for her,
yes.
but he did this. Except if she wasn't there, Cloud wouldn't exist.
One cannot exist
because-
without the other. Yes, ultimately
Exactly.
it was Cloud's decision. I mean, Cloud. Yes, I mean, people say that. Oh well, Tifa credits him for what happens in the live stream, so it had nothing to do with her.
Yeah.
No, it had everything to do with her, but it was. So let me explain it this way. When Cloud always, so there's something that Thea says to Tifa that I know is going to come back. She says, Cloud, the face of an angel, and he's much more beautiful than Sephiroth. Tifa has always had this image of Cloud. That's why when she sees Sephiroth, she's not, she sees Sephiroth. He's a great warrior standing in front of her. She doesn't even talk to him. She's like, hey, so y'all got any blonde soldiers around here? Like, hey, where
got no
is that?
interest.
He said she said just the two of y'all. Like, okay, all right. And she just ran off. Okay, she's not.
Like, I'm not
She's
gonna
not impressed. She's not impressed.
she's not.
She has always
So
seen
I
Cloud.
really wish we got to see his when she said that. He's like,
yes, Sephiroth.
he probably had to like,
And
"Hey,
you know what? And I think because I swear I got to do a thing about Sephiroth and Tifa. Okay, because that's another thing. Tifa does not revere Sephiroth either. She don't see him the same way as other people, and I'm sure that gets under his skin as well.
It probably
It
does.
really does.
Because,
And
like,
she's
I think-
terrified of him. On some
Yeah.
level. And so, but she does not revere him, and yeah, she like, nah, you ain't about to win over me with Cloud.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And I think, and I can't wait till you do that. I volunteer as tribute to join you on that discussion, because the thing is, like, because Tifa doesn't give two shits. One, I think Crisis Core, I think Sephiroth would have been appreciative, right? But after the fact, after the good parts of Sephiroth had essentially died with Angeal, with Genesis, and he lost all of his loved ones. Glenn, Lucia, Matt, they were all taken away from him, except they were the only people that didn't give a shit about what he was. He was just a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have this punk kid who's just like, where's my man? Go away. I don't care about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
and the good and Zach
must have
like
been
just
jarring for
wasn't
him.
enough. At that point, he had just been so completely broken. The good and Zach just wasn't enough to counterbalance what he'd already been. I mean, he just snapped. Yeah, he was like,
Exactly.
and he probably just figured eventually he's gonna turn on me too. Everybody's gonna turn on me. And then when he does,
Exactly.
it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You see what I'm saying? But anyway,
Exactly.
But anyway, Talman said when he thinks she's gone and Gongaga, he completely shuts down. Yes, and I'm glad you got me back to my point about that. When he thinks Tifa's dead, he doesn't like when he knows that Zach is dead and Aerith is dead. His mind forms an illusion around it to move past it, to deal with it, and keep moving. When he thinks Tifa is dead, he just shuts down, including in Gongaga. And I think Gongaga is a bit of a mix of two things, though, because I think the reason that he shuts down in like. Now, yes, actually, people have disagreements about this. This is my personal headcanon about Mideel and why he didn't just wake up when he saw Tifa. Now, Tifa knows, she knows too much now. Too much of the truth. She doesn't know the full truth, but she knows too much of the truth. The parts of the truth, the ugly parts of the truth, he didn't want her to see. He's not really a soldier, and stuff like that. He feels like a fake. And I think that's also why this works well. Like, the fact that they almost kissed and they kissed and they've had all these romantic, intimate moments with each other, but they're still not together. I think it's because, and what you said about the promise, like them missing each other. While detractors of Tifa say this in a nefarious way, I think there is a kernel of truth. And when Tifa says, you are a hero, Cloud feels like a fraud. He is not actually a fraud, but on some level,
he suffers from imposter syndrome.
On one level, he definitely is a fraud. But on another level, like this persona he's always put up as a kid. This barricade he's always put up because he's always felt inferior to some degree. You see what I'm saying? So when Tifa says he's a hero, he's not ready to, he's not ready to receive it yet because I think it's only after the full truth is laid to bear.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but what 2000 Guild of Becoming a Hero confirms, which is he did all of this for her and all of that. Once he bears his heart to Tifa and she there's nothing left on the table. She's in his subconscious. There's literally nothing left on the table. And she embraces it and says, basically says, I love and accept you as you are. Mm-hmm. That's when he can truly heal and truly become the person he's meant to be. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's why, well, because what we were saying is, was Tifa the one that actually healed him? Was it Cloud? I think their hand in hand is one and the same. Without bearing his soul to Tifa specifically, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
She has to know everything.
Yeah.
And her accept this broken, what he thinks is this broken, whatever mess of a person he is. And she's like, I love you. I never wanted a soldier. They actually just found out there was a deleted scene. I didn't notice, or I'd forgotten it. There was a deleted scene where he basically says this to her. And she's like, I don't care if you were a soldier. As long as you did your best, that's all that counts. Like, she literally says to him, I guarantee she's going to say that to him because what Nojima says is trace the two paths is, she fell in love with the ordinary boy. And the fact that he, and they say, they say in here, 2000 Guild of Becoming a Hero, Sephiroth is who all the kids admire, that's normal. Yeah. Like when she hears that, it sounded so very ordinary to her. And I think it was endearing to her, like, wow, he actually does have, he really is just like a normal kid, like he's not this untouchable star that I've grown to think of him as in these years that we've been distant. He still is that boy I always thought he was. This is, ordinary, and the fact that she falls in love with that. We're going to see so much of this. I'm telling you, there are going to be so many callbacks to Trace the Two Paths and 2000 Guild of Becoming a Hero.
Exactly. But I want to go a step further when you compare Gongaga to Mideel. The reason why this is where my headcanon comes in. Part of it is also when Cloud believed he lost Tifa, he did go catatonic. But Sephiroth was the one controlling him like a marionette. But when he was in Mideel, Sephiroth had no use for him to animate him from being that puppet. So it's not so much that... yes, shame is what kept Cloud down when he was in Mideel. At least I think so.
Yeah, and I think in Gongaga.
Of not being... But in Gongaga, he was still being manipulated. It's just Sephiroth was controlling him like a marionette, like a puppet. If it weren't for Sephiroth's influence, I think Cloud would have shut down then as well.
Well, but the thing is, he did shut down, though. I mean, I guess that's what I'm saying. Because when you think about Cloud's behavior, he screams out Tifa, and then the next time you see him, he's just sitting there. He's just a zombie.
He's just catatonic.
Exactly. Whereas when Aerith dies, his mind constructs, whatever it does to just keep moving. He's had this traumatic experience, but he's like, you know what? Like, he just needs to keep going. Like, even
later.
Whereas when he thinks Tifa's dead, like he's shut down. But the reason I brought up Mideel is because I think the reason he didn't wake up is not just because it's a physical issue, but because now she knows it all. And Cloud had just accidentally attacked her thinking she was Jenova. Now what I'm thinking is he had the shame of not wanting to confront her.
He didn't want to wake up.
He did. Yeah, he didn't. He's like, he knew Tifa was like, how do I even face her? You can even see the way he's practically running out the room when she finally wakes up. He's like, I'll go get the others. Like, he probably think just like he thought about the mountains, like, oh, she must hate me.
Exactly. And a lot of it is choice.
Yes.
Even if it's a subconscious choice, Cloud is being manipulated by several outside forces, but he still has choice. And you can tell when choice is taken away from him and when he wrests that choice back.
Exactly.
So when he is catatonic in Mideel, he is choosing to stay that way. And he doesn't have the outside force, Sephiroth, manipulating him like a puppet in order to get him moving. He is choosing to stay in that state. And in 2000 Gil to a Smile, he is... To a Smile, listen to me, I'm literally merging all titles together.
It give me a smile, I'll tell you that.
Right? But it is him choosing this hardship. He is choosing these trials. And yes, he will suffer impossible. He will suffer a lot. He suffers a lot more than anyone would have any reasonable measure to think that would happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So even if everything went according to plan and he made it to Sister, it wouldn't have been the same suffering that he faced.
Yeah.
So, but these are all choices that he made, and he's owning these choices.
Yes,
and then when he loses the two people he cares about the most, Mother and Tifa, he chooses to essentially
go kamikaze and then whoop. He done. He done. Peace. I mean, So.
And then we have the outside force of Zack is his caregiver, keeping him alive. Zack protecting, Zack nurturing, Zack telling him stories, trying to keep him going. Because Zack, all he has is this idea of maybe he'll make it back to Aerith. The person in front of him right now is what's keeping him going.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's a symbiotic relationship in that sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not like Cloud was choosing that. And then the closer they got to Midgard, he wasn't in control. It was Jenova. And then there's Tifa. He's like, wifey. Whatever you want. Yes, I am choosing to be with you.
Yes. And Tominez says at this point, Cloud doesn't think he's Tifa's Cloud. Yeah, and that's also an important thing. So when I said that shame of everything's being laid to bear. And he also doesn't even think he's the real Cloud. Like, it's just his unworthiness that he's feeling in Mideel, I believe. But and I think that's part of what's going on in Gongaga as well. And so for, and this is, I mean, it really is such a culmination of a lot of things that will be going on in part 3, just in that Gongaga sequence. That's why I was so universally raved upon because I mean, article after article, they were talking about how great Gongaga was. And Hamaguchi was, we didn't realize what he was talking about because you hear Gongaga, you think Zack. Who would have known it had turned into Cloudy Central? And you know what I'm saying? But it
was the most memed thing. It is still the most popular meme to come out of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I love it. Yes. I love it. Give me the memes. I love it.
And so when Tifa, while he's not completely ready, you know, like that's why he didn't just heal magically, and for the reason I gave and got Gaga. It was a little bit of a preview because when Tifa, instead of choosing, I mean, you know, a lot of people would have been like, done with him, you know, wouldn't have understood when, you know, and I hate when people are like, oh, Tifa, didn't make him pay for what he did and blah, blah, blah. Like, first off, again, a lot of times the same people who call her bitch constantly. I mean, okay, what do you want exactly? She can't be both a pushover and a bully and a bitch. I mean, you got to pick one, okay?
You got to pick one. Pick a lane.
This is also why she's like, first off, this is fiction, okay? Too. I mean, we have to understand that there's going to be a little embellishment and a little, yes. But the point is, Tifa in a moment where she could have been confused, angry, etc. And she could have chosen to distance herself from Cloud and blah, blah, blah. She instead chose grace. She chose understanding. And because the planet also enlightened her in that moment. So, you know, like, you know, that's why the planet wanted to show her what it showed her. Remind her, this is your Cloud. What's happening right now, you know something's wrong. This is your Cloud. Yeah. Keep that in mind. And so that's why they have that almost kiss moment. And so when we look at all this, I mean, oh my God, like, I just love that Nojima was like ahead of time. This is why he wanted to become a soldier. You could choose not to believe me, but what I write is canon. This is it. And that was against anybody who has discredited what Cloud has been saying for 27 years up until that point. We were right. It doesn't mean all of Final Fantasy VII is a love story. It doesn't mean it's blah, blah, blah. But if you really want to understand Cloud's character, this is something you have to accept. You don't have to love it. You don't have to like it. But it is what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
Insert the GIF. It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, we'll go. We're 2.5 hours in for 8 pages, so. All right, girl.
It's still there's still so much to learn just from these 8 to we just did 8 pages and we still were able to glean so much of Cloud's personality and his goals and ambitions, and it informs so much of the story.
Yes,
it informs so much. Just this 11 pages, pages, is the codex to Cloud, and yet nobody wants to read it. Read a book.
Yeah, my God, yeah. A lot of people don't know it exists, and I'm telling you, it will inform. This informs. I mean, this gives a lot of lore about Cloud. It is, and I'm telling you, I cannot wait for this to become a book. I do kind of agree. I'm 50-50 on whether it would come out before. I think in this case, especially when they seem to be trying to just get part 3 out, I think it makes more sense that it'll come out after part 3.
Yeah.
Very shortly after part 3.
Revealed.
Yes. And then because, you know, this is almost kind of like when you, like I was mentioning, playing Remake and then reading Trace 2 Pass and going back and playing Remake. It's almost like when you played OG for the first time, found out all that, you know, the reveals, and then you go back and replay through disc 1. You're like, even in disc 1, the clues were being laid out there, but you just couldn't see them until you knew everything. And this is another thing I'll say, because there are a lot of people who, I'm gonna clip this out and then we're gonna go, because I need to get off here. When people say, oh, don't play Crisis Core because it reveals too much. Don't read A, B, and C because it's going to reveal too much. The devs purposely made Crisis Core Reunion ahead of Rebirth. They purposely made Trace 2 Pass ahead of Rebirth. They purposely made this 2000 Guild Becoming a Hero ahead of Rebirth. They didn't do it because they thought you would literally learn everything there is to learn. And I would include LG in this. There are going to be some things as this game is fleshed out. This 2 and 3 are fleshed out into its own game with all of this new lore, or the whole compilation and all the new things to come. They don't see this as you're going to be completely spoiled by the whole game by reading these materials. So I implore you, for people who are wondering if they should play Crisis Core, read Trace 2 Pass, read 2000 Guild Becoming a Hero, absolutely. If you truly want to understand this story and Cloud's character, Tifa's character, Aerith and these other characters that you get some more elaboration on, Barrett, etc. You need to know this information. You know, you'll just have a deeper. It's not like you can't understand the game without it, but you'll just have a deeper appreciation and understanding. And I'm telling you, some of these scenes, you may have gotten a false impression of some of these things. They may completely reinform how you view a scene.
Exactly.
And it's amazing.
Yeah. All the novels and stuff is supplementary. You don't need it to get the whole story. It's just nice.
It's just like, I mean, you watch a series and then they come out with a prequel. And you're like, oh wow, so this is where A, B, and C come from, and it enhances your enjoyment of the original,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And also, like, we finally get Cloud's perspective.
Yes, finally. Finally. Because this is our first time getting like from Cloud's perspective, and of course it's third person, we get that, but third person written, but yeah. Anyway, all right. Thank you so much, everybody. We will do part 2 at some point. I don't know what yet. Well, we have different schedules and stuff like that. But it will be sooner than later. I promise. We will get through the last 3 pages. I want to go through and make some notes. I will edit this video, put it back up in a shortened version, take out all the, stuff, so people can get the gist of it. And then I'll put out some extra clips and stuff, because we had a lot of really good things to say in here. So, and then, I will announce soon when we do part 2. I will also be playing chapter 8 of Rebirth next week, almost certainly Monday. And I mentioned wanting to do an FF7 LTD AMA at some point for me. I will announce that at some point again, because basically what I intend to do is field questions and then just go through as many LTD related questions as possible. So definitely be thinking about that. Sky's the limit, as long as the questions are respectful. And you submit them in the manner in which I'm asking, so I can keep it uniform. Yeah. I would definitely love to just have an LTD discussion with everybody, and that'll be cool. So, all right. Thank you so much, Rhea, for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Always. It's been a minute. So yeah, it was nice. It was fun.
Been very fun. Everybody, thank you so much, everybody who joined. Y'all have a great night.